Seals.
Testing,
Miscellaneous.
testing.
Testing.
Can you hear us, anyone?
Anyone there? Anyone? Anyone? Any two? Any three? Any four? Any five? Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Outside. Whatever.
We're just waiting for quorum.
What do we need for quorum?
More than this.
Seconds, I gotta switch the screen. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's public.
Tammy's in the other room with me.
Okay.
Oh, actually, you gotta
She said,
tell Tammy to get in here and you start,
It
you
is six?
leave, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no.
Stop the meeting running. Wait, I need to move the battery. You can see that.
I cannot give out the password because it knocks off my internet. What can I help you with?
Oh, no, I'm just, I'm Sean.
Hi, Sean.
So I just don't have much of a cell signal. I was just trying to email my colleagues who are gonna be joining. But it's okay.
Oh, but they're on here maybe, they'll, you wanna see the screen?
No, it's okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Mimi's in there, she's gonna come.
Oh, yeah, that's with, what's the name? Yeah, for the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sir, I would appreciate it if you ask people if you're gonna take photos, because, no, you can take the photos, but I would appreciate if you ask people, because I wanna make sure that they know you're taking photos.
He's press.
Yeah, press. Independence should be here.
Okay.
Switch mother. God, I don't do this.
Thank you. Reminder to the members to scan the QR code and sign in. Welcome, this is the Quality of Life Committee meeting. I am Mariana James, co-chair. She couldn't be with us tonight. And we're going to get this meeting underway. Our first item is DDC's mayor's office, talking about the borough-based jail. Who is here for that? Can you
Go back in.
hear?
No.
You're not the agency, agency online?
Oh, yeah. Lauren's supposed to be here.
In person?
Yeah.
Right, they sent the list of.
Amy,
Is DDC online?
me too. I'm having the same problem. I'm
Who's that?
having the same.
Get that.
Amelia, what are you having?
Amelia, we can hear you.
CDL, send me, they're not,
They're not on.
they're on.
They're on.
Just try to video them.
I'm telling the other CCL to let them know.
It looks like now they're working. Okay, can you hear us now?
Is DDC online?
I don't know what it's saying. All right, let me keep trying. I'll let you know.
Yeah, Borough Based Jail is on. She's supposed
Okay, I'm gonna skip borough-based jail for now.
I just spoke to Lauren, they're coming through the front door.
Okay, we're gonna move,
We need to make sure people online do theirs first. That's what I'm trying to get.
first, let's get that going.
Can someone raise their hand if they can hear us online? Thank you, Philip, I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. I got it. Now you can go.
Okay. Is this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move to, the street reconstruction updates discussion, that's here. If,
I know, but I have it on the email.
can you just introduce yourself to the committee in the meantime?
Good evening, everybody. Special Select from DDC, Manhattan's office engineer and as an engineer for the reconstruction on Becky Street. So today we'll start our meeting.
So.
Good afternoon, everyone, and we're starting with our reconstruction of multiple streets in downtown Manhattan, community Group 1. For the first project, we have Gerald with us, reconstruction of combined sewer and wastewater.
Yes. Should I get there?
Yeah.
Of course. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gerald Estrella. I'm the NYC DDC resident engineer for the reconstruction of combined sewers at West Broadway project. So that's from West Broadway, from Thomas Street, Leonard Street. As you can see on the bottom right, projected completion date is June 29, 2024. Percent work completed is 42% done. So at this time, we are anticipating to complete the project at that completion date, which is June 29, 2024. So as of now, we had a change order to the project, which was the addition of water main work. As you can see, all the water main work for this project, the change order, that's been completed. And as you can see, we replaced 12-inch water main. We upgraded another 12-inch water main to a 20-inch water main, and we upgraded two 20-inch water mains on the center of the street to two 24. Right now, currently, we are currently working on sewer replacement. So we have a existing 12-inch sewer, vitrified clay pipe, and we are replacing it with a 15-inch sewer, extra strength vitrified clay pipe. As of right now, we have installed one A1 manhole, which is, I don't know if you can see, it's the light brown. That one's been installed so far. And we also installed 15-inch sewer going towards the sidewalk. So right now, marked in the red, that still needs to be completed. So overall, we have 20% of the sewer work done. That is the majority of the work that's still left to be on the project. And after that work is done, we only have curb restoration, roadway restoration, that's full curb to curb and street. So this is just pictures of the work that we've been doing right now. That's the new A1 manhole. I said that's on the middle of the street between Thomas and North Street. That's for the sewer. Then this is part of the 15-inch ESBP sewer that we installed. So this has been upgraded from a 12 to a 15-inch. That's a clay pipe, extra strength vitrified clay pipe. And then we also have encased the sewer with. Right now, that's the current overview of the setup work site. So right now, we're just currently working, as I said, on West Broadway between North and Thomas. But then as we finish the sewer on that part of the street, we'll be moving over to West Broadway between Worth and Leonard Street to complete the rest of the 15 sewer and A1 manholes and the sewer. You guys have any questions?
So it looks like traffic remains open during
Yes.
construction, is that correct?
Traffic remains constantly open throughout the day. You know, we always leave one lane open. We have flaggers on the job site. at all times, while the job is there, working. So, yes.
Are any services, obstructed for the community while you do this work?
I know, since all the water main work is finished, all that's been done, like, when we do water main work, yes, service is interrupted and we try to do it after night, but this time we did it during the day, but all that work is done already. So no more future water service interruptions anymore. Right now, we're just, since we're doing sewer work on the sidewalk, only thing obstruction is, 60 West Broadway. That's this building right there. And right now, we're on the sidewalk, we're doing, sewer replacement, so we had to kind of close down, so we have another entrance on the other side. But then we also, communicate with them if they ever need an entrance on this side of that street, that will close, just let us know. But we have our CCL always communication with the building, let us know, like, whatever, to inform them whenever the sidewalks will be closed.
How much time, lead time do you do those?
We usually try to give them, 72 hours in advance.
You had a question?
Yeah, 2 questions.
Sure.
One, with the like expansion of the sewer lines, are there any anticipation that that's gonna continue further up or down the street?
At this moment, I'm not sure. Right now, it's only, at this section, that we have. I'm not sure about future projects where they will, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so we always work based on DEP. It's our client agency. We do the work for them based on their needs. They have task orders specific to this community board one. Based on the need, based on the projects, whatever, see what they want to upgrade, they will give us the task orders.
And how far in advance does that come?
Which one?
So
There might not be any more work on West Broadway, so we're waiting for DEP decisions and whatever they want to upgrade, they will let us know.
Okay. And then I think this section is actually just like concrete or whatever, but I know there's some like, I don't know if it's like stone or basically special sidewalk in that area. Is that,
Pigmented sidewalk, which is a dark color.
you're painting it? These
No,
are-
we replace it with pigmented sidewalk.
Any other questions on this one?
I don't know about one.
I'm not sure.
Here. Oh, no. Do you need to keep this up? Is there anything else?
For the next one.
So I can go on.
What's the sidewalk?
They put a dye in
Yeah.
the concrete, it's like darker color to match.
I was checking.
Oh.
And I'm checking back the.
You're checking.
Yeah, I'm running back my. Here.
Okay, so there's nothing.
I'm running my 50 cents.
Okay, next project.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So,
And this was, that was West Broadway, right?
Yes.
Thomas's work. I know the answer to that, but he doesn't. They're going to the other side of the street for West Broadway after this side is done, is what they said at District Service Cabinet. I believe, right? Yeah.
So is that outside being like where the Odeon is or?
Yeah, that side of the street, between Leonard and. It's going.
So it's gonna continue to go forward, okay.
so thanks. So for the next project, I'm presenting the reconstruction of Greenwich Street. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Peter Roloff. I'm a consultant, resident engineer for DEC. I work for Tectonic Engineering. You may be used to hearing Phil Stafford presenting our project. I'd like to mention his name before mine because that usually kind of warms everybody up because he does such an amazing job as a community liaison, dealing with the public and transmitting the community board issues directly to us at the field office so that we can answer the kind of questions that come up. So reconstruction of Greenwich Street is the type of DEC project that is, we can say full soup to nuts. We do utility work in the subsurface public right of way. But we also, because it's a DOT project, finish the roadway, curbs and sidewalk. So what's seen by the public at the end is a nice end product. So as we leave an area from property line to property line, you have new city infrastructure. And in our case, we're also upgrading things such as streetscape furniture and bike racks. So when we leave, it is nicer, hopefully, than when we came there. So our project
for those of you who are in the area of the World Trade Center, starts at Barclay. It will eventually go up to Chamber Street. Right now, we're in phase one. And that takes us through the intersection of Murray. That is a large 2-block span on Greenwich Street where we are occupying now. You can see we do have a large footprint out there, and the footprint has not significantly been changing over the past 6 months to a year. But through some of the pictures, I just want to explain that there is a significant amount of progress and work going on site. So our overall schedule, this is designed as a 40-month job. And a year from now in October, we anticipate phase one to be complete. And by complete, this job is going to be set up so that phase one is fully paved and restored and given back to the public. And we move on to north phase two. You can see the discrepancy in the time between phase one and phase two. Phase one is really a different project where we are doing a lot more city infrastructure work as far as the underground water mains and the drainage. From Murray up to Chambers, which we have not occupied yet, when we get up there, we expect a much faster progression through that as our scope of work is much less. So here you go with some more pictures of underground, what was recently described to me as underground spaghetti. But I assure you, this is standing on Park Place, looking north and south. Our job is to organize it and put it back in a manner that meets the city's requirements, and hopefully in the future, in this type of project, we really are doing every kind of utility that you can name or imagine, and the hope is that we are causing a disturbance, obviously, but this amount of work when we leave should last a while. I know that there are emergency repairs that happen afterwards, but as far as the large infrastructure goes, hopefully this area won't have to be disturbed greatly again for a generation. I think that's about it.
Okay, so you're ready for questions. Tammy?
Hi, thanks for coming. How can you comment on the reconstruction in the BNY Mellon project that is in association with this, and talk about street open, street closed, sidewalk open, sidewalk closed as it relates to that? And then also, I'd like to lodge a complaint about the moving of the MTA bus stops further east on Murray, which has actually not been very public friendly or to a public benefit. Because what also got moved was the Agency Street parking. And the placards moved. So right now, the east side of Murray between Greenwich going east is an absolute mess. And it's a pinch point for traffic. I know there's a construction corner on there as well, but it's actually not working the way it was conceptualized or intended. So I would ask that you would go back to the MTA and take a look at that, because it's not functional.
Okay.
So 2 things. Thank you.
So I'm going to start with the second, just because it's fresh. As you were speaking, I was nodding in agreement with a lot of things. So what we're dealing with is our construction is occupying Murray Street to the west of Greenwich. This is typical DDC work. This is critical. We are occupying that area for the next year. So we months ago asked MTA, this is a bus stop. Reached directly out to the MTA, explained our timeline and explained what their solution was going to be to relocate this bus stop. As you know, I happen to have moved a lot of bus stops in Manhattan, so we gave them suggestions, and we went to them with a westerly suggestion to move a bus stop. There seems to be some significant open space to the west, but working with Bill Spidell, who is a very experienced bus MTA manager in Manhattan. He disagreed with us and he moved it Murray to the east, and we had to relocate some agency parking, which again, we were, not passing the buck of the DDC project where it's taken out of, and DOT worked directly with MTA to make that mess of the MTA parking that's going on now. So I think we're at the point where this is the second time that it's been mentioned to me. We need to go to the MTA with the strength of the community board behind us, and say, listen, we want to revisit this, and we want to see if we can move it to the west. My preference is to get it to the west, But they do have rules with the distances between bus stops, and the turning of the bus was another issue that I know Phil had brought up to me when he denied our request to bring it to the west. But I think if we're having an issue, maybe that strengthens our case to, put it in a better spot.
I would also say that we can help you reach to the building that is his concern about what he's blocking. Because the 3 loading bays that are on the Whole Foods building are not actually 3 functional loading bays. They only use the first one and occasionally the second one. The third one is permanently sealed as a storage facility for them. So that would give you another, however long a storage bay is, for guidance. And DOT does know the contact information because we worked with DOT for, Cargo Bike in association with Amazon for that particular location.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the Whole Foods Management. They're extremely construction friendly and reasonable. So my first step is to reach out to MTA. You know, truth be told, they are the decision makers, but I will not just let it be a no and let it rest. I will transmit the no to everybody, see if we can get commentary, making that no a yes. So.
And then my first point about the integration and what's happening with BNY Mellon for this area, and to ensure that the city and DDC is not paying for parts of the project that are overlapping, and that is being paid for as BNY proposed to the community.
Yeah, I can assure you that it's not. 2 things that we would definitely not do with a private, BNY is the project that is adjacent to us on private property. But they have, through other methods, been working with the city to bump out their curbs 20 feet into the roadway to expand their sidewalk and bollard. So that's what we're talking about here. So the idea is the city would not pay for any private work. The EDC is definitely committed to that. They made that very clear to me. And second to that is that our project cannot suffer so that a private project can prosper or go faster. So in other words, we're not going to disturb the public or the private utilities any longer, just so that the bank is able to start. As a fact, in our last coordination meeting, they have sent us their first draft of how they're going to set up their work. I hope that they're keeping up with you as well, but I can tell you, yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, we are.
I'm going to send the 20-foot
Bill, and where we are with them is our work area is our work area. And we've only allowed them to set up on the side streets, so down Murray Street, about halfway, right about where we're talking about for the bus stop, which
Which has caused problems.
problems for the bus stop, and then down on Bartlett Street, over by the West Side Highway. Those are going to be their starting areas. They're getting DOT approvals. So similar to that, and running up their work schedule. Personally, didn't curious about that.
Princess that, so.
Couple of things, we're trying to like get more words together. One, I'm kind of shocked that you said that like not much has changed since like our last discussion, because I also remember distinctly asking if traffic flow was gonna change, and y'all were like, no, not too much. That's a horrible corner now. Like, it did change dramatically. And I get things get ugly before they get better. But we also talked about on Barkley, we were talking about like staging and stuff and like where things can go and delivery. Now that whole thing is totally taken over. It's definitely impacted traffic like a lot, trying to get out to West Street on Barkley. Can you talk about like when some of these things are going to start to wrap up? I know this long-term project's a big project, but like this is a horrible corner. And I don't think pedestrians are taken into consideration at all. Like I was like walking down the street all of a sudden and I couldn't like cross the street. I was like, where the fuck am I going? And I was excuse my language. Like clearly like I'm using that corner, that street every day. So can you just kind of talk to the mess that block is right now?
Okay, I use that corner every day as well. So I do have a chance to walk through, and if we see anything unsafe, we'll take care of it. I can't speak to the general it being a mess. Right now, the contractor is complying to any directive we give him immediately. Our setup is based on approved plans. If there's something specific, we will jump. I'm a very cooperative contractor and more reasonable. We can even modify our work to make the pedestrians crossing safer. But right now, we have what we have. Our setup is there. The crosswalks are visible. As of 2 weeks ago, we recently relocated the pedestrian signals further out into the street to make them more visible, which was not a complaint, but just an improvement of something we saw on our own, this is crossing Greenwich Street north of Barclay. Those signals were changed. We added more traffic signals in the intersection just to try and make it safer for people to cross and for people who are coming into this difficult to navigate area to have a more clear vision of what's going on with the traffic signalization. And I think that those are positive steps. But again, if there's something specific, we're very open to hear.
So for example, today, I think they literally were not letting people go from, what's that last street before Barclay? Going towards Barclay, like they were flagging people away from that, or flagging both people and cars away from that. Like as soon as you kind of like pass Target, you take your, like, you only have the option of taking the left and you had to go back around. And like I was totally sure,
Yeah.
because that's like a total change in traffic, instead of being able to go all the way down Greenwich to Barclay. I think that's the type of thing I want to hear about and learn about, because that's a major impact. And I'm not even driving, I don't care about driving, but that's a major impact to that corner.
It's a left on Park.
I know it's our detour when, if we were to close that block, that would be our around the block detour.
It's not if they were, I mean, today they were doing it, and I was shocked because I was like, y'all been good about keeping that open generally, so I haven't fully like thought of the complaint, but like, I think that's the type of thing I want to hear about here and now, and I think and I bring that up for the community, so that we can all be aware that this is coming down the pipeline.
I hear you, and we have very limited complaints on this project in general. I would say, from the public that gets to me through the community liaison. As far as traffic goes, we have no complaints. Did they close the block today? Probably. Was it for 5 to 10 minutes? Probably. We are bringing in, you think it was longer than that? It was.
Because it was like, this had moved all the way over, because I was like looking for, I was like, how do people drive through here? And I was like, oh, they can't, and it's not 10 minutes. It's like, if they were to change it, it's for a day, 2 plus, if not weeks. So,
Okay, I hear you, but I think that whatever the perception is, the through traffic is open, there is a turn, a snake to go through it, but it is open. When we leave the work site, we've never closed the block, we're not allowed to. What I was saying before was during the workday, we have massive, mountains of earth that we're moving. There is equipment coming in and out, and there are temporary stops where we try to limit those, but listen, they happen. It's the truth. But as far as a long-term closure, completely not allowed. I mean, it wouldn't be from more, like I said, than the time for a machine to get in and out, and then it's open back up again. It is tough to get through, and maybe when you get to the end, it's possible that it looks like you can't go through. But unless it's physically blocked, I mean, our roadway is open.
If there was a situation like he's describing, where it was indeed closed, is Barclay still remain wholly open, that you could make that left on Park Place if you're driving north, go up to Broadway, make a right, come back down Barclay, and go to the West Side Highway?
Yeah, to close both would be.
Okay.
Then you've actually limited a very easy detour around the block to a detour that would be impossible.
Right.
Send you to City Hall to get around the block. I've done, I was the resident in for Beacon Street, and we did a similar type of detour.
Well, there was once when they had to temporarily pause some construction to repave it over for the marathon or something. And where did they did the detour, people would just swim around and around in the circle. You go West Side Highway and back up, and you could not get like through the blocks, like they closed both sides. So exactly, I just want to make sure that's not happening again. Any other questions on this project?
Just to support what he was saying, that corner is a mess.
Okay.
And, cause I frequent that corner a lot, and it was nice before school started. When school started, all hell broke loose, cause you have BMCC, you have Target, you have the elementary school. And it is just, and then you have the construction that's going on Warren Street and your construction.
We're talking about Murray Street?
We're talking about that whole area.
I think this is closer to
Barclay and Murray. Even up to Warren, because that whole area is a complete mess. And I saw one person one time that was there to kind of that was supposed to be there, because he wasn't doing it. That's supposed to direct traffic and stuff like
We
that.
have flaggers.
Flaggers,
Currently have-
but I think during, peak times, you need to make sure that there's, enough people there, because you got a lot of kids coming from school, and then the college kids as well, but there are a lot of people shopping in Target and going to Whole Foods, which is where I was on.
Tammy? So and then I'm gonna bring up, your project ends October 2024.
Phase one.
Phase one.
Phase one. In May of 2024, there is, beyond the bike tour. We're beyond the bike tour, because the bike tour is a couple blocks over. It's the American Heart Association, the Wall Street Run.
That, yes.
Which used to be centered on their start line used to be Murray Street. It has gotten moved up to Warren, in between Warren and Chambers or Greenwich.
Here at school.
I think that's what they repaved the street for that time.
So obviously, there's concerns that we have for people who are attempting to pick up their kids and gain through access because the area has 17,000 people in it and it's nigh impossible for arrival and dismissal of the school. The school is currently undergoing, I think local law 11 or something, because there's scaffolding everywhere around the building there. That's new and enlarged. So there is, limited sidewalk space up there now, because half the sidewalk is shut off for scaffolding. And what we'd like to know is what dialogue and conversation that you have been having with either SAFO or the American Heart Association engagement team as to what that area will look like in spring of 2024. The community board wants to be at the table at that, so there is more than a week's notice, that there is ample notice, because obviously beyond the school, the Downtown Alliance stops its bus service, the M20, the M9, and the M22 are all affected, which are the only three bus lines that service Lower Manhattan on the west side. So it is a conversation that we'd like to ensure happens.
Of course, so we're talking about the, one Thursday, I believe, in April. This is, it's a weekday run, which I don't particularly understand myself. At the last meeting we had with them, we mentioned maybe a weekend, and this is not something that they want to entertain, especially from a construction project, but it made no sense. So our project ends at Murray, so we have to, they interact with us because out of necessity. So the DOT Special Events Unit is the lead agency here. They bring us in, they bring in the American Heart Association people. And the first thing that we're gonna do is send, when they decide to plan this event, is inform them of the community board concerns and get you at the table.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any more questions in the room? Philip Sanford, you can unmute yourself. Ask your question.
I was just gonna say, to the Park Place, it was closed today, but definitely not all day, but there was a Con Edison truck that had to park access a manhole, which is unusual. But throughout the day, Park Place is open to vehicular traffic and always open when we leave. That's all I had to say.
Oh, you're with the agency, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for that clarification.
Next project. The next project, we have reconstruction of Front Street. How will we that with them?
Do you have anyone online that I need to unmute or move over to let me know?
No.
Okay. I don't know where it
You
was.
said Front Street, right?
Yes.
Please proceed, sir.
Yes. Howie, I'm the RE for the Front Street project. I'm a consultant of Tectonic as well. So.
You speak a little loud, people online can't hear him because he has to speak into the owls. Don't hear my
Hold on.
Yeah.
You can be closer to the owl.
Yeah,
This is me speaking.
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so our scope of work is 6 blocks, full railway reconstruction from Oslip to John Street. That includes curb and sidewalk, ADA ramps, catch basins and chutes, hydrants, streetlight and traffic signals. This is a joint bid project, so there's also Con Ed, ECS, and manufacturing work. Street signs, tree removal and pruning. Project completion date, right now is projected at June 30th, 2024. And right now, we're probably a little higher than 42%, we're probably near 50% right now. Next one. Sorry.
Just where your microphone is, sir.
Yes, work completed to date, 9,600 feet of Con Ed electric conduit runs, rebuilt 6 Con Ed electric panels. We have digging in the steam mains and installation of housing at 2 locations. Relocation of steam anchor, that was interference with the catch basin. We have installed 18 new catch basins with 3 manholes and chute connections. We also installed 2 new sewer manholes and replaced 2 sections of sewers due to damage by Con Ed steam main that we discovered. And we've done lowering of existing 12-inch water main at the intersection of Gouverneur and Front Street. And we finished 6 blocks of trolley removal. We didn't find any trolleys, but we did see some railroad ties. But there was no steel discovered. Also, we've done some relocation of Con Ed gas facilities at the intersection of Front Street and John Street. This is pictures of the condition that we encountered while doing the Con Ed work. This is a Maiden Lane. We discovered existing water main that damaged sewer. So this winter, that's what we'll be doing as part of the change order, repair the sewer. Next slide. Currently, we're installing catch basins. We're trying to finish up. Right now, we're between Maiden Lane and Fletcher Street. For now, we have some delays due to Con Ed work. Hopefully, they're telling us by October 1st, they should be clear for us to finish. So what we have left would be full roadway reconstruction, which includes 1 block of cobblestone between Fletcher Street and John Street. Pair of sewer main that I just mentioned as Maiden Lane. So we have finished 18 catch basins and 8 more to go. And next spring we'll be starting with full curb sidewalk replacement for the entire project. We're going to street lighting. And then the full roadway reconstruction.
The cobblestone to be replaced, right?
Yeah, that's first thing in the spring. That's what we're doing. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, I don't know. Is this, you want to hear from Jared? Let's see.
I had 2 questions. First is, if you're replacing all the sidewalks, there generally is a lack of trees in Lower Manhattan, in part due to the vaulting that exists under a lot of the sidewalks. Is there any consideration to trying to find space when you're rebuilding them to have more trees put in? That's the first question. And the second question is, if you're replacing the cobblestones, what's the plan for the crosswalks? Is it going to be the version that we saw previously for Tribeca, or has that not been determined yet?
Well, we have pavers that's lined up to look like the crosswalk. Special pavers.
Right, but we in the past, we've seen in the landmarks committee, I've seen presentations on the specific materials being used, what they look like, ADA compliance. Do we know what that looks like with this yet?
I believe it's been approved.
Okay.
I think the question is, can you provide us with pictures and more information about the specifics of the feature?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Thank you.
Till next time. Francis?
Taking into consideration, there is supposed to be this grand resiliency project going on in the Big U. How is that, what you're doing now, going to be affected by that? pretty soon they're gonna come in and probably have to rip some of that up after.
I believe it shouldn't affect, what we do. I believe what they have to do is on South Street, which is one block to the east. So I don't think they'll be coming to Front Street,
Okay.
as far as I.
Frankie online, can you unmute yourself?
This is being.
The host sent a request for you to unmute. Hi,
Hi.
please go ahead. We can hear you.
No, I have no comment.
Oh.
I was just muted. In case the questions came up, I wanted to be able to answer.
Oh, yes. When she said Frankie, I was like, I think that's someone who gave this to too. Okay, so you are.
Thank you.
Diane.
About the cobblestones and, because where I live, the cobblestones, they had, shortly after they had been replaced several years ago, they started buckling and coming up and they're very uneven. I live in Harrison and Greenwich Street. So I just, concerned when you replace the cobblestones that they won't have the same issues or problems that we've had all throughout Tribeca.
So our plan is, to request, DOT for full closure for that one block. We'll have enough, carrying time for the concrete, mortar beds. So that way there shouldn't be any issues.
What block exactly is that again?
That's between Fletcher Street and John Street. And Front Street.
Because the problems arose after they were laid down.
We're trying to mitigate that.
Will Fletcher Street match what you're doing on Fletcher Street?
Fletcher Street.
Fletcher Street has cobbles on. Are you also replacing those or?
Are you talking about between front and south?
And water, I think.
Either, anywhere where Fletcher is, is it going to match? It's all I'm really curious about.
Should, because we're saving most of what was there, bringing it and then putting it back.
Oh, okay, got it.
If you do find any trolley tracks, in another committee, Waterfront and Culture, we passed a resolution supporting a monument to the first Black woman to desegregate the New York subway, New York government, transportation system. And so I'd be interested in like committee where we notified of anything that's found that could be related to that. Any other questions? Next one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so the next project is gonna be my project, reconstruction of West Street. Right now, we are working between Church Street and Broadway. The scope of work is installation of draining and catch basin, sewer cleanup manhole, water main upgrades from 12-inch to the 20-inch water main. We also will be doing public utility upgrades, street lighting and traffic signal work. We'll be installing 6-inch granite curb and pigmented sidewalk to match with the Community Board 1 and Downtown Alliance requirement. And also we'll be upgrading 4 pedestrian ramps to be ADA accessible.
You explain which ones and where?
So we're gonna be working on the one on Church and West Street. Right here. And right here. Across the Port Authority and these two. The one on Broadway is gonna be a part of a future project that's gonna come and do it on Broadway. Here are some pictures that we want to share with you, showing the installation of 20-inch water main. Like you see, and as I mentioned before, here we are dealing with the aftermath of 9/11, where all the utilities, you have oil loads, gas, electric, and telecommunication had to be rerouted on the spot, and it was placed in a shallow. Right now, we're dropping all the shallow utilities more down in order to get a perfect roadway, which is 9 inch of concrete and 3 inch of asphalt. After we install the water main, we start working on the utility interferences and the shallow utility. Here we are working to restore everything and encase it with concrete. After we did the utility work, we start backfilling the west section of Bessie Street. Some of the conduits we couldn't relocate yet because we had to do some work on the intersection of Church and Bessie Street. So we're trying to wait. And during the summer, Bessie Street area was very congested with tourists, and especially after the schools are back. So we try to slow down and not do the work on the intersection right now, and move it once the whole area is like less congested.
When is that? Yeah, right? When is that?
Hopefully
The
it's
holidays
freezing
come.
during the winter. Here we can see the temporary restoration of the west section of Bessie Street. I'm gonna mention that we pushed one timber curb down in order to reopen the crosswalk that crossing Church Street and Bessie. So that way, all the trucks, all the buses can make the turn now, and we reopen the crosswalk for all pedestrians. As you know, before our contractor, we had to slow down. We started working in front of the garage, the one on Bessie Street. And once we saw that there is a lot of problems that we're going to face, there's a lot of interference, we tried to minimize our impact in the community. So we switched from working in front of the garage inside our area where it's scheduled like that. And once we have a full plan from the utilities, Con Edison, as you can see, we have a lot of ECS conduits and the gas main for Con Edison and a lot of electric. So once we have a full plan and we know what we're going to be doing in front of the garage, we will go back with the full plan. And instead, you just open the street and leave it open without having a reservation. And this picture, actually, I took it this morning. That shows the congestion on Bessie Street. On Bessie Street, we have a steam service. We have the subway underneath us. So below these two water mains that you can see on the street, we have the subway roof and a fan chamber. It's one of our challenges that we have to take everything by hand, not to disturb any utility, not disturb the MTA structures in the area. If you have any questions or comments?
Out of curiosity, does the abandoned water main there, does that get removed? Or
excuse me?
Does the abandoned water main there get removed?
Yes, we need to remove the manual water main to make a room for the 20-inch water main. So right now, these two water main, one is abandoned and the existing one, the light one, is 12 inches. We are upgrading the water main to 20-inch.
Is there any work on the sidewalks that's going to be done, knowing that there are landmark buildings on the left and right side of Bessie?
So we have sidewalk restoration. It's gonna be pigmented to match with the existing one. And a 60-inch granite curb. So we're just reinstalling the sidewalk. And are we talking about 18 Bessie Street or 14 Bessie Street?
We're talking about, I can't tell you the addresses, but I know that on one side you've got St. Paul's.
Yes.
And the cemetery, and on the other side you have, it's in that picture, that's what reminded me, I can't think of what you call it, but.
Oh, that's 14 Bessie Street,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And I'm sure Laura, our CCL with us, we have been facing a lot of problems with the homeless people. They've been camping inside 14 Bessie Street.
Yep.
Every day in the morning, we see a lot of boxes built up as a shelter for them. And it does not stop there where it's like, sneak. I'm gonna put it in the right way. Whatever the homeless do in the morning, it's not community friendly. So we had Laura, she reached to Department of Sanitation for the DHS in order to reach out to the homeless people over there and try to help them in order to help the community.
So this goes on every day before you're able to start your work?
Yes, so every day we call Downtown Alliance have been working with us. Department of Sanitation. We call them, they come clean, and the next morning we paste the same. I think,
Put up to one.
Laura,
Close it, locked it off.
I mean, we cannot do any work on the private property. Laura reached to the building manager and she notified them about the situation. Actually, this morning, I saw 2 notes from DHS, Human Services, reaching out to the homeless person. I believe Laura is on the line. She raised her hand.
So do you expect that that would delay the project at all? If you know this every day?
No, it's not gonna delay us at all. It's like we're trying to be proactive of the community from
Right.
this kind of stuff. Right.
I
You
don't
would
see
see,
Laura online. If she can raise her hand, it would be.
If there's a Laura online that wanted to speak or ask a question, you can raise your hand.
Laura Rivera.
Okay, you can unmute. Laura.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi Pat, hi Tommy, hi everyone, this is Laura, CCO for Vesey Street. I just wanted to add to Besher saying right now regarding the homeless individual, we have a 14 Vesey Street building. I have reached out to DHS, DSS, actually the building management office also is aware of this. So we are working together to address this issue. Also, DHS was there this morning. I actually got an email late today informing that they were there today and they left a note at the door trying to find this individual because it's an occurring issue that we're having. It definitely does not look appealing for the neighborhood. So I just wanted to chime in that I have reached out to different parties, so even the Downtown Alliance. So hopefully we get this
Thank you.
going. You're welcome.
My only concern is that only the building manager or the building owner can report to NYPD in order to be able to get the coordinated task forces that they do to move the homeless encampments, which they used to do, not sure if they're doing currently, but that kind of coordination can only be reported by the building owner, according to New York law.
So but you're in contact with the building owner or no?
yeah, Laura reached to them multiple times and recently, like today, she reached out to them.
Okay, so hopefully there can be some movement on that. Any other questions? Mimi?
What's the end date for this one?
So we expect September 17, 2024.
That a year.
Okay.
It's a 2-year project.
Currently on target?
Yes.
Any other questions? Next project?
Reconstruction of Nassau Street.
Which street?
Nassau.
Nassau. So that's my neighborhood.
This is the microphone.
Nassau Street, yes, sorry about that. So we're finally up and running. In the last couple of times, we were delayed, but the contract mobilized on July 5th. Up and running. So just to go over the scope of work, it's 3 blocks of full roadway restoration between Pine Street and Main Lane. Like the other projects, we're installing new granite curbs, pavements and sidewalks, upgrading all the ramps to be ADA compliant. We're installing six catch basins, street lighting, and we have a bump out at the intersection of Nassau and Cedar. And like all the Lower Manhattan projects, there is joint bid, Con Ed and ECS private work. The expected completion date is June 27th, 2025. And we just got started, so we're only at 3%. Next slide. Just to give a map of where we're working right now. So the contractor has 2 work areas set up. One is on the east side of Nassau between Pine and Cedar, and the other location is the west side between Cedar and Liberty. The first location between Pine and Cedar, they're doing excavation for Con Ed and ECS utility relocation work to accommodate a catch basin installation as well as the roadway. So like the other projects, the utilities are shallow. After 9/11, everything was dumped, one on top of each other. Everything over the water main kind of just came in there and installed over the lines without any supervision. So
We had them reopen.
yeah, we have, exactly. So we have the same issue as the other projects. And the second work area between Cedar and Liberty, we're doing Con Ed layout work for catch basin installation as well. And the contract storage area set up on the south side Liberty Street, west of Nassau. Have it enclosed with green mesh, so it's not an eyesore at least. Got some pictures. So this is between Cedar and Liberty. The west side, this is all the Con Ed ducts on the left. There's about 22 feeder and secondary ducts. And after eliminating 3/4 of them, there's only 4 or 5 of them that are actually live. A lot of them were empty, a lot of them were retired. And so it helps us because now we have room we're trying to move it away from the water main just in case there's emergency in the future. By the way, there's no water mains work before anyone asks, so there's no shutdowns or anything like that. But we are trying to move the ducts away from the water main just in case there's an issue down the line with DEP, they can get in there and make the repairs. Next slide. And this is the location between Pine and Cedar. So again, a term that's been used before, spaghetti. This is ECS and basically hunches up and over east-west feeders going from Connet-Bolt to Connet-Bolt. Issue with Nassau Street is that the subway is shallow as well. We have the sewers on the side, so everything's just one on top of each other. And there's a couple locations where the ECS and Connet both pump over the east-west feeders going from bolt to bolt. So we have to lower that as well because we only have 7 inches cover on those utilities. So to get the 12-inch road base, we're going to have to relocate most of this. Next slide. Something that was talked about in the past was street closure during the day.
Sorry about that. Trying to troubleshoot. Come on, Jim. Keep going.
So DOT approved a daytime street closure between Pine and Liberty. We have a detour set up where we would close at William Street and reroute traffic around Maiden and to Broadway back to Liberty. Now, of course, access will be open for the stock exchange, security, for the Pine Street School, the buses. We let the buses in and they go out. FedEx, any kind of local deliveries, they can access Pine and then go back to Broadway.
Somebody got their fresh directs.
Oh, yeah, those guys are always parked on Pine Street as well, so. And the contract has been pretty good where if they don't need it, they don't use it.
Right.
But eventually, because of the limited space, Nassau's so narrow, we're gonna probably have to implement the full closure.
Between what streets would that be?
Between Pine and Cedar first, and then Cedar and Liberty. But basic Cedar and Liberty,
Those are 2 blocks.
yeah. And the last block between Liberty and Maiden, we're not working on for now because we cannot have more than 2 blocks closed at once. So eventually, we finish 1 block, we'll do the next 2. That street is 17 foot wide. There's no way to keep the lane open. That's gonna be full closure. And so that's another reason why.
But wait, are both of those one-way going west?
Cedar?
Pine and Cedar?
Yes, yeah.
So
it makes-
that could be problematic.
Well, the thing is, once you close the first block, basically no one can get to the second one anyway. So essentially, the blocks are closed off. Right, so even though we have to close for 1 block, we basically have 2 blocks allowed.
Okay.
But yeah, the last block between Liberty and Maiden is not going to be worked on until we get at least the first block completed, and that's going to be full closure, and that's going to be separate.
Is there a way to do like public notice if and when that has to happen, or
Of course.
we have to find out when we're on the
No,
road?
she was back. Actually, I was going to give notifications or CCL at a time.
How about posted signage with maps for redirection?
We have detour signs set up.
You have detour signs and all the businesses will be notified because how are they getting business deliveries in the neighborhood?
Well, for the deliveries, we are agreeing with them to let the access on Pine Street.
And what about handicapped accessibility by vehicle?
By vehicle? Oh, we let accessorize everybody else too. Well, yeah. We have a flagger posted there and they basically coordinate with everybody else. It's not like it's full 100% shutdown. Questions?
Any other questions on this project? Online? Let me do a temperature check. How many more street projects do we have?
2 more. And both are starting soon.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Mike?
Hi there. My name is Mike. I am the office engineer for a project that's about to start up on South Street. It's the interceptor sewer on South Street, as you can see on your screen. We're hoping to start up in October sometime. And you may or may not see us. It's predominantly going to be, actually, almost entirely going to be night work, Monday through Fridays.
Noisy?
Scope of our work, I'm gonna try not to read off the screen too much, but we're doing very cool projects. So unlike my colleagues before me, we're gonna do very minimal to no trenching at all. The technology that we're using is the first in the city. It's spiral wound lining. What that means is we're sending machinery inside of the sewer, inside of the interceptor sewer.
Robots?
It's hydraulic equipment, but it kind of is. There is some guidance as to a dummy pipe that lays out the profile of where it's going to go and what it's going to do. And it kind of just walks itself down the pipe length, which is awesome because there's still, live flow within the sewer. So it is good that we are having, machinery do much of this work instead of, full crew. First and foremost, video scoping, we got to see what's going on inside the sewer and the adjacent combined sewer next to it. That's very simple, matter of just quick setup, one shift, bring the equipment in, look inside, get some research, and take that home to figure out, where we're going to go from there. Test pitting, there is a substantial amount of water in the 8x6 interceptor sewer, 8 feet by 6 feet. At some points, there is 60 plus inches of water across a 8-foot wide sewer. So we have to relocate some of that water. To do so, we're going to build a bypass system. We're going to take water from upstream, relocate it to a neighboring sewer. That was the combined sewer you see in the first bullet point, just to be able to drop the level low enough that we can send a couple of guys inside of the sewer to actually help out the machine, feed some of the PVC material into it, and continue the work. So we'll do some test fitting to kind of avoid some problems, find out where the utilities in that area are, so that when we want to do the piping work or the bypass, we know how to get from A to B as painlessly as possible. It's about, in all, about 1,000 feet, 3 blocks. We're going to start at Fulton Street, work our way up to Dover Street. Not a big span. And you're not going to see much of us. All of our work is going to take place predominantly in 3 manholes, 27 feet below ground. That's down there here. There's a couple more bullet points in there. You can see them on your screen for yourself. This is a picture of a project in San Diego where they did this. There have only been a handful of projects that have used this technology. Like I said, we're the first one in the city. 3 of them I know of in Georgia, 2 in California. 1 in Minnesota, another one in New Mexico. New York City is about to join that list. But this is what you're going to see: a 7-foot by 7-foot spool that's feeding into a manhole. A data system, recovery system up top with a hoist to help people out if they need to in case of emergency. We'll have some ventilation equipment downstream, as well as some generators, small things like that. And the arrows will represent the 3 locations that we'll be actually working at. You'll see this. Visualize a little bit better. In yellow, orange, you'll see areas where any kind of digging will be done. Like I said, it's super duper minimal. In blue, that's the actual interceptor. That's where we're going to be below ground. You're not going to see us. Within that 8-foot by 6-foot interceptor sewer, the things we're going to be doing is repairing the water infiltration points. So the reason, the catalyst for our project is the deteriorating interceptor sewer, which is, for those that don't know, the granddaddy of sewers. It's the last, feed before it goes to the treatment plant. So it is critical that we repair the water infiltration points, get this liner in place, fill any gaps and crevices all around the PVC to the hose pipe behind it, and get, another 50 plus years out of the interceptor. Extension of the previous slide, just showing Dover Street. I couldn't shrink it too much, so I spread out over to the slide for you, but same deal. In orange, you'll see in the far right, that's just
the immediate area surrounding the 27-inch manhole casting. We're just gonna have to break out a little bit of the manhole to get some of that specialty equipment I was talking about, the robots that you so keenly pointed out, inside of the manhole and inside of the sewer system. That'll be our entry point. We'll go back, obviously, and, you know, repair anything that we damaged in the process of getting our equipment in. But that's gonna be the extent of the excavation, the bypass down at Bolton and the 3 manholes. Specifically, we'll have we're having project-specific MPT plans drawn up right now. As you guys know, there is the coastal resiliency job that is up at,
That's gonna be my question.
we're well aware of it. We've already, you know, done a fix.
Hopefully you're working together.
Yeah, we're a stone's throw. So we had to play nice, but coordination is a big part of this. So in drawing up MPT plans, we have their schedule in mind, their setup in mind, and we're gonna try to make it as logistically friendly for a driver on South Street to navigate the area. For pedestrians, obviously, there's gonna be crossing guards at all the intersections. We know there are businesses in the area. I've already personally walked the site multiple times, talked to different stakeholders. Driveway access is gonna stay in place. Driveway access is gonna stay in place. There'll be one storage area between Beekman and Peck Slip. We're gonna try to minimize the footprint as much as possible. That's gonna be where those giant 7-foot by 7-foot schools you saw.
It's gonna have like Peck Slip Plaza?
No. It's gonna be, I apologize, should specify. On the east side of South Street, between Peck and Beekman, there's a no standing area right there where it kind of actually goes into the sidewalk a little bit. That's where they're gonna be stationed. So it shouldn't affect any of the traffic over there. Our work, those 3 manholes I was talking about, they are in the lane though. So, you know, we're obviously gonna have that area barricaded off, so that we can have our work done and everything else. There's gonna be giant, you know, green fencing. You're not gonna see it. It's not gonna be an eyesore. We're gonna try to be as tidy as possible. And, to keep traffic flowing, we're gonna obviously have to push everything west so that there's 1 lane in each direction. What this means is that parking lane, along the west side for those 3 blocks, we're gonna have to suspend parking over there temporarily, just so that we can keep traffic flowing up and down. Yeah, I think that's it.
When is their expected completion date?
Oh, I'm sorry, June 2025.
So the bike lanes and stuff, they'll remain there.
The bike lanes are in the sidewalk section under the FDR. They're not gonna be affected at all.
You said the work will be done at night?
Yes.
Will there be a lot of noise involved?
No, I mean, I'm gonna lead with FDRs right there. But, no, the contractor has already shown us some of the generators they plan on using. They're sound attenuated. There was this very memorable moment in one of our meetings where the project manager actually drew a comparison to a vacuum cleaner. So I actually went home and I looked up what my Dyson V8 actually sounds like, and it's 74 decibels at 3-foot distance. So when you're holding it in your hand, you hear that. He said the machinery that he plans on using, the sound attenuating generators, will be around 70 to 75 decibels at 50-foot distance. Now, the buildings on the west side, where actually residents are much more than 50 feet. Your windows are gonna be closed, you're barely gonna hear.
What are the hours of operation?
9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. So we won't be there Saturday, we won't be there.
Will there be a phone number to call? If
We're gonna have a CCL because I am shaking my boots up here. Yes.
How deep is it?
We're, the sewer itself is 27 feet below ground. So you're not gonna really see or hear us.
Is there going to be exhaust from the generators?
There will be, but our contractor is actually awesome. He's very environmentally friendly. You know, low sulfur diesel. Gonna be very minimal. You know,
Is that what the ventilation is for?
the ventilation is for the gentlemen, for the workers inside of the pipe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Generators will not be.
They're stuck in the pipe. They'll be outside, well ventilated area. There'll be a fire watch. You know, I dotted it, T's crossed.
I just want to make sure I understand what this is. So that there's water getting into the sewer from the outside, the robot's going in to scope out what's going on, and then you're lining it?
We're sending video equipment
Okay.
in to tell us what's going on.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna suck the water out. We're gonna try to do that, like, you know, any kind of, grout injection at the lowest point. So dry stay we can find, nighttime, just any time when there is the least amount of water use, in that area in the city, so that it's as low as possible, so we can find all the infiltration points and we can, grout them, plug it up.
So there's water that would otherwise not be in the sewer. That's the issue?
Yeah, so there's water infiltration in excess, as of 3 years ago, in excess of 100 gallons per minute seeping in.
Got it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's pretty critical.
Any other questions? Yes.
Couple questions, or kind of comments. I think it's great that we're doing something like really futuristic to us. The thing I don't want to just like overlook is you're like, oh, there's gonna be generators. It's not gonna be that bad. You can have the windows closed. I sleep with my windows open. You just like, I want you to sleep your window open with the vacuum cleaner going. It's at night, so that means you're gonna have lighting, right? So that can be a disturbance as well. So I think what I'm really trying to get at is, I wanna make sure we stay in communication about this because we, like, I appreciate your positivity, but like living downtown, there's a lot of noise and overnight. So I want to be respectful of the people that are living there. Sure, the FDR is right there, but I'm kind of going through this right now. Listen to a vacuum at night, it's not fun. Even if it's like, just like this murmuring sound, it's not white noise, it's not brown noise, it's an annoying noise. And then there's gonna be trucks, there's gonna be beeping. I think like, let's just be honest about what's actually gonna be going on.
You're absolutely correct.
So let's stay in communication.
Definitely. To try to, kind of put it in perspective a little bit more though, those spools will come in and out likely once, twice, a shift if we're lucky. So that means a machine is physically gonna move that spool from where it's located in the storage area, a couple hundred feet to the manhole where it's gonna be back into, one time, if not 2 times throughout the night. I really, I don't want to minimize it, because you're right, hearing something moving, even if it's 200 feet, it does stink when you're in the dead of sleep.
And you also talked about like, not blowing up literally, but the manhole cover, that you have to expand so you can get things down there. You're gonna be doing that at night, that's noise. That's like, it's jackhammering. It's
Doing that once though, right?
You're right, it is gonna be, a one-time deal.
But then you gotta go back and fill it back in.
Filling it back in is not the noisy part. You have, sure, a concrete truck that's gonna come in and help you, but, the contractor has plans of using precast devices, so he's not gonna be doing it on site. It's gonna come ready-made. He'll drop it in place with the gasketing stuff that he needs to make sure it's sealed. Brick and mortar work around the casting, that's a labor, pretty simple. You might hear us when we're using the asphalt roller, just around the immediate area of the casting. More often than not, I think we're gonna get along.
That's a big.
Is there a reason that the spools can't be moved into place once at the beginning of the
Yeah,
night?
56 of them.
That's a reason.
Anything else?
I want you to place that presentation on the desktop.
Save it on the desktop, you got it.
So we can have some slides for the full board. Final project?
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I have a question, Mariama.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. Hi. Given, I think I heard you say that the excess water could be diverted to other sewers. Will this project reduce the overflow into the river?
That is part of the goal, yes. By making the sewer, the longevity of it and, making sure that, the calculations and everything are correct, we are hoping to have a long-term, benefit to the environment.
Is there any kind of plan to conduct or extend this kind of project to other parts of the city?
I feel like there's a lot of eyes on us. I haven't heard anything, but to do something trenchless, whereas otherwise you'd have to dig out 3 blocks worth, go 27 feet down, sheet it, send laborers in, deconstruct it, figure out where to put all of the water. cast in place new walls, rebar work. That sounds like a heck of a lot more time and impact on the community. So I would imagine that, this is gonna be on the radar, but I'm not in those rooms. I can't comment on that. That's purely conjecture.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Richard.
Hi.
Hi.
Marshall, I'm a resident engineer. I'm Southern from NV5. This upcoming project.
The microphone that's picking you up is here, so.
In Aggie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm the resident engineer for this upcoming project. Basically, it's similar to most of the project we have discussed before. It's a roadway construction between Cedar and Morris Street. Involves new pigmented sidewalk, circle joints, granite curbs, some manholes, 3 or 4 of them, catch basin, and some for relief for hydrants. The contractor is in process of getting the permits now. We expect to start construction around October. And we're waiting, the contractor is finalizing the NPT, site-specific NPT plan, which we will review, discuss with also with the stakeholders while deciding whether the storage location will be. We'd like to have their input. So we're planning to meet along with myself, the contractor, and the CCF early next week. We meet with the Trinity Church, for example, the school principal, AF-150, make sure we got all the input and concerns that have no taken care of. Yeah. Okay.
So, yep, this is one that is highly, 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 and I can't say highly enough, an issue and critical because of PS 150 that is right there, which I spoke to Amelia about. We've spoken to the principal about. We have massive safety issues there with the tunnel exit. So I understand the scope of work, but the most important thing is that you safeguard the pedestrian ability to have people go in and out of the school. It's a pre-K to 5. It's at a tight spot. They have Edgar, the north side of Edgar is their street, Play Street. I just need you to work really hand in glove with them to ensure safety, security. If you have to put flaggers out specifically dedicated, we need to make sure that we don't have families getting run over trying to get their kids to school with the reconstruction for a project on a street that they know has a brand new school on it.
Safety is not negotiable, especially with children.
Correct.
Protection, we stay on top of that.
If you need the contact number of the principal again, but they know the project is coming, I just want to make sure that you basically have them on speed dial. They should not have to come and chase you. Me and online if you want. Yes, she knows.
Tammy?
Yes, dear.
Hi, this is Amelia Ramos. Hi,
Hi, Amelia.
good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So yes, we are, after yesterday's meeting, I spoke to Omar, the resident engineer and the contractor, and we are going to meet with the principal, which is Nico Victorino. So I know I saw your email, so definitely we will coordinate to meet with them, what works for them early next week, so we can discuss the issues and concerns for PS 150.
That's great, because we did speak with them today after district service cabinet, and they are looking forward to having your contact information.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have our committee chair, Pat Moore, on the line. Pat.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Cedar Street and Pat.
Exactly, one and the same. Can you hear me? Guys, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Say it again. Yes, I see Tammy said yes. Okay, I just want to make sure that you all realize that Cedar Street, well, let me just say, I came out of my door the other, I don't remember when it was, Saturday or something. And Cedar Street, the top of Cedar Street at Trinity was closed. I am on a cane and I needed a car to come to my door to pick me up. I was so angry. I yelled at the guys and because we had gotten no prior notice that the street was going to be closed. I don't care if it's closed for half an hour. We need notice because as you all know, Greenwich South only has 6 working streets. And Cedar Street is the only street going west into Greenwich South. So if you were working anywhere near Cedar Street, I want to have notification, please, that you will be closed. And you know what kind of traffic jams we have on Trinity. We have them already. We have construction going on in buildings. And they have, you know, trucks and cranes and all. I can't tell you how many times I've come out of my house and there's been a crane that we had no notice about. So please be in constant contact. Get numbers of the people who live in the buildings. Whoever is going to be the coordinator, our you know, community liaison, please put notices up. I'm in the hospital, so there's lots of noise going on.
And unfortunately, that's gonna have to be future.
I'm
'cause this
back.
project hasn't
Say it again.
started yet. They're saying that was Con Ed.
Wait a minute.
But that does mean that you have to
Sorry.
coordinate South Street project and you have to coordinate with Con Ed because having an answer that that's not us, it's them, isn't helping the community.
100%, we always communicate, we always coordinate, but again, we have to keep in mind that there's private contractors, private work that's completely not related to our project. We always, whenever we have our CCLs are working 24/7, they have their phones on, we're reaching, publishing notices and sending newsletters, always.
Okay, I only want you to be responsible for your project. I couldn't hear all of it. I know you can't be responsible for other people's projects, but I want to make sure that you know, because you all know me. I want to, because you know I will come out there and start screaming and carrying on. I want to make sure that you all know that, you know, those of us.
The streets feel free.
Say it again, what?
You see us on the streets, feel free.
Okay. All right. I've said my piece. I can barely hear you. Everybody have.
I have a question just in general, like, does anybody know what's going on at Broad and South Street?
Right, so.
Broad and South? They removed the city bikes.
Like Broad and South?
Yeah, Broad, it goes all the way to South.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Over by 25 Water Street.
By
construction.
Light Hand,
Yeah, they're renovating that office building into residences. There's another building behind it, and then all the city bikes were taken away. I sent you pictures, but like, I don't know what's going on there. Like,
Did we, let's check with DOT.
okay.
Well, and DOT has to know where their bikes went. Maybe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a Lewis online. You can unmute.
Louis, you're unmuted.
Lewis? You still like to comment? Okay. Thank you, guys. Can be, you're welcome to stay or, you know.
Your place is on the,
Yes.
thank you. Those that have not signed in, please sign in with the QR code. It's very important that we have a record of who attended. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have a physical sign-in sheet, but there should be QR codes, it's all that thing. You can place it on the tables and stuff, just scan it and sign in online. If that doesn't work, you can just go directly to the board's website and click on live meeting.
Hey, gentlemen, I need you to be super, super quiet because we've got a ton of people online waiting to hear from Lauren and the team, so. And team, so let's make sure that we're quiet.
Line that you would like me to move over, ma'am.
Yes, we have, Q Amiri to be on the line, Robin Forst, and don't know if they're, Robin's already Q, well, but, you know, and then, if they're on, Alex Maldonado or, yeah, or Ali Roberts. And then, can they hear me? Okay, if there's anyone else from the BBJ team who needs to be moved over, can you virtually raise your hand and they'll move you over so you can be able to unmute. Thanks.
I'm just gonna preface this item by saying we're gonna be very strict in only staying to like the merits of the project and not getting into anything else political or anything like that. We have 2 other agenda items on here, and I also have a new business item related to 9/11 health. So we want to be able to get all of this stuff into this meeting before we kick out of the building. This item cannot go on a mic.
Hallelujah.
Please leave it on this one.
Oh, you've been drinking. Who's been drinking? Sorry, I got jealous.
I smell it too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, sweet. It's no one's living here.
Desperate for me to be drinking that.
Intense. Ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Let's get going.
Okay. Wait, let me make it, how do we, you wanna make it full screen?
You can see it behind you. I'll show
For
you.
people online, can they see it full screen?
Yes, it can. They have to.
Okay.
That is facing.
Oh, great, okay, good. Okay, I'm actually gonna come, are we closer to the speakers if we sit at the table here?
You can't touch my, ow.
But are we close?
Feel free.
Better, it seemed like people were having trouble, okay, I'll see slides. All right, well, first of all, I know we're gonna be quick, but I just want to say it's really nice to actually be here in person with so many of you after long last, so thank you very much for having us here tonight. Let's just start with the agenda slide. So as usual, we will start with what we've heard and just kind of, going back through some of the recent concerns that have been brought to our attention or questions that people have asked. I will hand it off to Rich to go through updates on the dismantle project, where we're at, and milestones that are upcoming. We'll touch briefly on community engagement, resources, just making sure everyone knows where to find us and how to contact us, even when we're not here presenting, and then we'll open it up for questions. So first of all, some of the things we've heard recently. One, we got a request for translation of street closure signage. So like our CCL, we put out all notifications, construction advisories, and information. We always translate that into it's English and then also Chinese for the neighborhood and post those around. But recently we had a street closure and there was a large sign actually physically in the street sharing the same information but printed larger. And some residents reached out and said that would be great to also have that in Chinese. So moving forward, we will do our best to make sure that anything that we're posting for this project will translate into multiple languages. So we appreciate people bringing that request to our attention, and we'll try to make things as accessible as possible. As always, requests for updates on dismantling milestones. So Rich is gonna go through those on slide 5, stuff that's upcoming, things we want the community to know about, so there's no surprises. We do have at present on site right now, there is the North Tower crane that is in position that is helping to dismantle part of the North Tower building that's coming down. It's a big crane. And so of course, as that got installed and with other recent events that have happened in the news, I know that the community was very concerned about this. And when the crane is not in operation, but when it is being parked at the end of the day, so the boom arm is no longer moving, it's not carrying any loads, it's not manipulating anything on the site, it is extending in the direction over Baxter Street. And I know that was something that the community brought to us and said, this is a little bit of a concern. It's kind of like hovering above our heads. Is there any way we can move that? So Rich can go into some more detail in this during the Q&A, but basically we just want to make it clear to everyone, there's a very rigorous process that has to go through to be able to put a crane on site, to determine that position. So all cranes are certified. They go through a rigorous annual inspection. They are certified by NYC DOB Cranes and Derricks Division. So these aren't just, any kind of engineers. These are specialty engineers that review and they inspect the cranes and give them certification to operate within New York City limits. Then a licensed certified crane engineer, a specialty crane engineer, reviews all the site constraints, the operational requirements of the crane, the existing available space on site, and determines, with the best knowledge that we have, the best and most feasible location for that crane to be on site, to be able to perform all the operations that it needs to be able to do so safely, And they create the crane plans. Those plans then go back again to New York City Department of Buildings, Cranes and Derricks. So their engineers review those plans. They check to make sure that this is meeting all safety requirements and regulations, and they sign off on those. And then the crane is installed on site. NYC DOB is on site and was on site the day that that crane is put together and assembled on site and installed to make sure that everything is being done according to the plans that they signed off on and reviewed. And then also while the crane is on site and being operated every single day, it goes through daily safety checks and a checklist that the crane operator, who also has to be a specialty licensed and certified crane operator, they go through the safety checklist. And then a safety engineer on site reviews and, confirms that safety checklist. So there's a lot of steps that are in place. It's not just, Rich going out there and putting the crane wherever he wants. There's a whole process, a lot of eyes on this. So while I know, these big machinery, and of course, I'm not trying to make light of the community's concerns. I just want to assure everyone that we've gone through this very thorough process to locate the site where it is and to be able to operate that. So then we also heard it's kind of a standing request for updates on the environmental monitoring that we have on site. We monitor for air, dust, noise, and vibrations. So we'll share updates on that from the last few months since we last met in June and what the results are and how those have been coming in. And then in our last meeting when we met in June, we heard a request to see if we could install HEPA filters, so air filtration in the windows of, essentially all the residents around Chinatown. So I think it's good news that we can share today that to date on the site, with all the air quality monitoring that we're doing, we have not had exceedances for basically the EPA regulations stipulate that for things to remain safe, we measure things over a 24-hour weighted period. And that 24-hour weighted average has not exceeded the EPA's permissible exposure limits. So air quality levels are remaining safe. We continue to monitor this and we will continue to be monitoring it throughout the entire construction process. But to date, there's no cause for alarm and we are ensuring that those levels stay safe.
The only problem with that is, we heard that, to tell this community.
Right, we heard that
before. Because the EPA said something.
22 years ago.
Right, 22 years ago, we were told by the EPA everything was fine before too. And a lot of us are not well now because of it, so.
And not here.
We're still gonna have, and not here. So that's still gonna be a challenge and I would expect that the residents may still want some support.
Okay. Okay, well, we are continuing to be really transparent about this process and we'll continue to collect all the data. We publish it online. We do share all of it with the community so you can see the results, the data that we have. If you have questions about it, I encourage everyone to reach out. But we're being really, really vigorous about this. Okay, Ali, at this point I will hand it off to Rich to talk about what's going on the site and what you can expect to see in the coming weeks and months.
Good evening, everybody. So for those who don't know, I am Rich Peterson. I am the project manager for the Gramercy Group, who is doing the design build project at the Manhattan Detention Center. To date, the first two items, the South Tower sidewalk shed and the North Tower screen scaffolding have been completed. Phasing plan from phase 1 to phase 2 will be ongoing this fall, which I'll go over the differences in those phases shortly. The interim Sally Port is wrapping up. It should be finished October, November this year. The South Tower scaffolding and screen cover is ongoing. You can notice on the west end of the South Tower, scaffolding has started to be erected and is expected to be completed this fall. North Tower dismantlement is ongoing, and that is expected to be finished January next year. The North Tower crane was installed in August and is expected to be there through this winter. The South Tower dismantlement shall begin around October this year through fall of next year. The crane on White Street is expected to come to the site September, October this year and remain through this dismantlement of the South Tower. We are on track for a substantial completion of fall 2024. Right now, this is the current layout of the site. We call this phase 1, where the North Tower is in our possession and the Sally Port is under construction. You can see that there is sidewalk shed along Center Street, the north end of Baxter. You have the sidewalk closure with the pedestrian passageway on Center Street in front of the existing Sally Port that's being constructed, and the new crosswalk that was erected on the south side of Bayard across Baxter. That is the current layout of the site. If you go on to phase 2, we are in the process of switching over to this phase a little bit right now, but we are moving into it fully once the Sally Port is completed. We finished the sidewalk shed against the west side of the south tower, right there where Lauren is pointing. And you can see on the east end, which hasn't been completed yet until the Sally Port's done, the fence line will continue down to the Bayard intersection and wrap into the south end of the south tower. Here are some existing photos of the site. You can see the Sally Port that's been constructed on the left picture. The center picture shows the north tower under dismantlement and the scaffold beginning to be erected on the south tower. And the right photo shows the location of the old gymnasium right on Baxter Street where the north tower crane is located. Road and pest control has been ongoing since the start of the project. We continue to monitor it monthly, and we've had no instances of any outreach from the neighborhood, so we believe we're doing a good job with the rodent control. Environmental monitoring plan. I've gone over this slide a few times. Here's where you can see the locations of the noise, sound, and vibration monitors depicted around the perimeter of the site. Just to be, I'll touch on it a little bit now. There are multiple levels to the alarm system for these monitors. There is a baseline, which was taken at the start of the job as to what the community has to begin with, sound levels, noise, dust levels. Then there is a alert threshold that triggers us internally, which you see on the reports to, hey, go check on what you're doing. You're creeping up on dust, noise, or vibration. Then there's a stop work threshold where, okay, we've gotten high, stop. We have to reevaluate, change our work procedures, and then resume work.
Have you reached that at any point?
I will go over that. There are a couple instances where the system worked and we stopped and readdressed, but I will go over each of those. It's my piece. Dust mitigation. Here you can see an example of water being sprayed on a hydraulic concrete pulverizer that's being used on White Street. We keep the site enclosed. We have water spray. We keep the road wet. We keep White Street wet. We continuously sweep the entrance on Center. We try to cover as many stockpiles as we can at the end of the shift when it's a dry, dusty type situation. We have on the top of the north tower around the perimeter of the scaffold enclosure that you see, dust screens that come down. They are a vinyl type product that has a fire rating, dust and noise attenuating factor to them to keep the sounds reverberated back to the north tower. Noise mitigation, there's an example of those sound barriers. Those are the ones that were installed on the gymnasium. It's the same blankets that are installed at the top of the north tower. We have all the proper mufflers on our equipment, in order to work on not only emissions reductions, but noise levels and things like that across all our equipment. We are using predominantly electric powered equipment on the roof of the north tower that is taking down the building as we speak. It's powered through hardline wires from the basements that tower, so there's no generators on site for that equipment. So communications about the environmental monitoring. PBJ team provides bi-monthly environmental reports to everybody here. On the next slide, there's some examples of the data you get, the types of charts you get, the dates, and the examples of what occurred on those dates so you understand what caused the alert or stop work thresholds. So these are the incidents I'll talk about. We'll start with air quality monitoring. So the air quality is what we're talking about when we're talking about dust type exceedances. In June, July, and August, construction-related levels of particulate matter did not surpass the exposure limits, as set forth as Lauren had mentioned earlier. In June, air quality monitoring did have an exceedance due to the Canadian wildfires. So the alarms all went off. Clearly, nothing I can do about the Canadian wildfires.
It's good that the system's working.
It worked. It triggered it, it picked it up, and it let us know there was a quality issue, and we were aware of the exposure from the Canadian wildfires.
So you stopped your work during that period?
We did not.
I'm sorry, I'll wait for public comment.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to you.
Okay.
We'll get to you. I hear you. No.
Apologies.
No problem.
Okay.
In July, there was one alert on one monitor, which was due to construction work grinding steel in the southwest corner of the Sally Port construction. There was a window that we had to grind some steel in order for the window to fit into the steel that was installed, and the air monitor was within 10 feet of where the gentleman was doing his grinding. Once the air monitors went off, we stopped. We put up a shield and blankets to contain the dust and sparks back into the job site, and we resumed work. Once again, the monitors did what they were supposed to do, and we were able to resume. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to see from here. In August, there was a false alarm related to our activities and the relocation of the monitors on Baxter Street. So I'm gonna talk about it in the near future, but one of the monitors on Baxter, wasn't part of our original plan, but through the community's outreach to us to have more monitors, we quickly put up the monitor, but the issue was the monitor was installed because we did it quickly inside our job site. So where it might have exceedances that I will go through, they were inside the job site, not in the public's space. So we have since then relocated it, but it took some time working with where on the street to put it, what we could mount it to, and things like that. So we had the monitor, we treated it as if it was in the public space, but a lot of those alarms would not have occurred had it been outside of our fence. Noise monitoring in June, July, and August. 3 alerts were contributed by our activity. Noise in June was due to loading a dumpster. These were all located quick distances apart, the same operation. We went out, we spoke with the operator. He was loading steel dumpsters. He was dropping the debris from a higher height than necessary. We retrained him so that he takes the bucket of the excavator and places it in the dumpster as opposed to dropping it in the dumpster. And that monitor was the one inside the job site, right next to where he was loading the dumpster. So it was a lot closer than it should have been, but we addressed it regardless. There were a few instances where it exceeded that were after our work hours due to sirens and things in the neighborhood that went off. Not much I could do about that. They were outside of our working hours. We weren't there. And in August, once again, due to relocating, recalibrating that monitor, it goes off when you touch and handle it. You know, you plug the holes in the dust screens, you touch it, it triggers the monitors to go off. Vibration monitoring. In June, once again, there were 3 triggers by our construction activity. And in July and August, there were alerts. There were no alerts. In June, the vibration level surpassed the limits. This was when we were doing concrete pulverizing on the gymnasium immediately adjacent to the Chung Pak building. It didn't go high, just went to that alert, just to tell us that we're doing something. We stopped, we switched to hand methods in that area. As we proceeded further down the wall, we went back to trying the muncher again, that we were further from the Chung Pak building. Still crept up a little bit, we stopped again, and we continued that process until we were far enough away that the muncher no longer impacted Chung Pak. So, while yes, to answer the question, a quick answer, yes, we had exceedances, alerts. However, the monitors were doing their job. They alerted us to the issues immediately, and we were able to change and adjust our methods. So the system's doing what it's supposed to do to protect the neighborhood. Asbestos air monitoring. We've had no exceedances or alerts or anything to asbestos. That all stays contained within our site. We haven't been doing asbestos on site for a little while now, so that holds true since our last meeting. I'll hand it back to Lauren for the emergency protocol.
Sure. So we peeked this slide in here. I think a number of meetings ago, we did have someone from NYCEM, NYC Emergency Management, come and present this information. So this is in response to communities' concerns. You know, in addition to all the monitoring we're doing for the sort of daily normal construction activities, of course, questions come up of like, well, what if the unforeseen happens? What if there is something catastrophic that occurs on site? Then what? Like, who's going to notify us? How is this going to happen? So in the event of any emergencies on site or, you know, things outside of the realm of normal daily construction activities, our team notifies NYCEM immediately. They become the agency in charge of sort of handling this response. They will notify DOB, OSHA, any other entities, any other agencies who, based on whatever it is that happened, need to be in the loop, need to be notified. They will take charge of notifying the community. There's a lot of information on here for how to sign up for the city's free emergency notification system called Notify NYC. So there's resources on this slide, and I think we've published this on our website as well, for if you're not part of this alert system and you want to be, how you can get notified. So in the event, again, we will be close coordination with New York City Emergency Management if the unforeseen and unpredicted happens. And okay, and as far as community engagement and resources, so of course, we will continue throughout design and construction of the facility all the way till this project is complete. We'll continue to come here, meet with this community board, provide these regular updates on what's going on the site. We will also continue to meet with the Neighborhood Advisory Committee. I know we haven't had a meeting in a while, but we do hope to get one of those scheduled again soon. We will continue to have briefings with the Chinatown Stakeholders Group. And again, I think we've said this in past meetings, but just to make it clear, for those groups, we're really gearing a presentation towards folks who don't typically come to the community board meetings and for whom English might be a second language. And so we basically take the exact same presentation that we're giving to this group, to the community board. We provide it translated into Chinese, and then we do another meeting just to go through the same information. So,
Mandarin or Cantonese or both?
well, it's written on the slides in Chinese, which the Mandarin versus Cantonese is the spoken dialect. So it's just written in Chinese. And then we have our community instruction liaison, and we also have Xiaomin from DDC there. So if anyone needs language assistance, they're able to.
So they
speak
just
in that
read it,
language.
it's a visual, they don't have like the benefit of some of the presentation.
Correct. At present, so far, we'll speak through the presentation in English. All the content is translated on Chinese, but again, we do have native Chinese speakers on the line. So if someone, needs to ask a question in Chinese or needs additional clarification, they're free to ask. We can always look to, updating those protocols or those methods, if it's requested, but so far, this seems to be working with this group, and we haven't had any issues or requests for like additional interpretation or something. But if that becomes something that the community is asking for, it's certainly something that we'll consider in the future. And of course, I know everyone here has seen this slide many, many times, but even in between these touch points where we're coming out to present, in person or virtually, there's a lot of different ways to get information about the project. We always post our community presentations online on our website. We also have our designated community construction liaison, Nikita Sin, who's online here. So if anyone has questions, concerns, anything, they need to reach out to our team. That includes the entire extended BBJ team. Everyone should know they can reach out to Nikita anytime. Send her an email. She knows who to get in touch with to be able to loop back with the team and get responses out. And that concludes our presentation. So we will open it up for questions.
Mimi. Really sorry about what I said earlier.
It's okay.
You're obviously not drunk.
But I have a question about
this exchange.
He was doing hand sanitizing.
I was like,
Very
I'm just a little bit jealous, but so the data.
Yes.
The last published report from Manhattan is from June of this year. Is it possible to get that faster, if not in real time?
So we'll be publishing the July report soon. I think sometimes they take a little bit longer because if we get the data and our team is reviewing it, it goes through many rounds of review. So we take a look at it. We make sure, is this something that someone who's not a technical expert like Rich myself is gonna be able to read and understand? Are we explaining? Are we providing a clear narrative? Are we answering the questions? So the July report is not up yet just because we've gone through a few rounds of back and forth, and we've asked them to provide some additional edits and clarifications in the language. So I think we're close to publishing that one, right? I think it'll be up by the end of the week. And then that's July.
August soon follow?
What?
Would August soon follow?
Yes, we are in the process of confirming. I think we just did a round of review and confirm with Dominic and Rich this afternoon, so we will hopefully get that up within a couple of weeks.
With the alerts that come from the data that you're getting, that wouldn't be something that we would be able to get to?
No, those are internal for our team. They go to my supervisor on the
Which will
floor.
note it.
And they just let us know hey, something, it's not any exceedance, it's not any threat to anybody, but it's creeping up over here. Go take a look at what's going on, change your means and methods. It's what we use internally to protect everybody. It's not an alert that's of any concern to everybody, and it will only cause panic.
They don't
Is there any
wait.
governmental agency that receives it, or is it all like you're self-reporting?
The DDC is on with us for those.
So they're notified.
Yes. Again, we don't wait until there's an emergency or a health concern for the alarms to go off or for Rich's team to do anything. These go off well before. So that, as soon as it's starting to head in that direction, they get alerts to say, hey, like you're doing something and the levels are starting to rise. Maybe you should go out and check and see what's going on. And if they continue to rise, they get that second level of alerts to say,
That's the
okay,
stop.
seriously, stop work because you need to go out and assess whatever you did before isn't working. And then they'll go out and change their means and methods. They are not allowed to proceed until they figure out how to bring those levels down. So, and again, with the air quality, as Rich was saying, there have been a few times where it's been going up and they've done what they needed to do and gone out to the site. But we are measuring, those alerts go off. They're taking measurements on a 15-minute time-weighted average. So if levels creep up and you average it out over 15 minutes, if there's an issue there, the alerts go off. But again, the health standard set by the EPA is for a 24-hour time-weighted average. So what we're measuring to send off the alarms to Rich's team is something much more stringent and rigorous than just, again, we're not waiting until there is an issue. We have alerts going off well before there's an issue. So when
And-
we talk about these exceedances, it's warning levels, yeah.
And just so you know, when you see the report, you're gonna see, I addressed the ones that were construction related, right? I let you know there are ones that you're gonna see sirens go off. There's gonna be ones that go off while we're working that we put comments. It's on the street corner. Somebody bumped into it. We had to go strap it back on properly. You know, that's not a vibration. That is an earthquake, if you will, when someone shakes the machine. So we have to get the alert, go see the machine, figure out what's going on near the machine, because just because this machine goes off, but I'm working all the way on the other end of the site and the ones near that machine didn't go off, right? I know it's not us. So there's a minute of time there where you have to evaluate what's happening to even determine if it's construction related. So you'll see when you get the reports, there's gonna be more than the ones I mentioned to you, but you'll see the explanations of, and that's one of the comes backs and forths with Lauren and her team is they come back to me, why didn't you talk about these five? I go, those five are nothing. In my mind, I don't even think to address them because they're not construction related. She goes, yeah, but we're gonna send this to everybody. They need to know it. And it, so that's why it goes back and forth between us a lot because I'm not used to reporting to that level of information.
We have some very lively discussions, but we're trying to, make sure we're really transparent and open with the community.
I appreciate that. I, just, the decibel levels that are in the report or the decibel levels for when you get the preemptive alert. What is that, at what distance, if you don't mind sharing?
So those are, it's, once again, depends on where I'm doing the work and where the monitor is located, right? So the monitors are located outside the construction fence on the sidewalks.
Okay.
Okay, or on the corner of a building nearby, or the corner of a fence post nearby. You saw it on the map. So if I'm working on White Street and it's the one right there on Baxter, then it could be within 60 feet potentially, right? What's across the street and the sidewalk. But if it's the other side, that could be 300 feet away, right? So it depends on which monitor and what activity.
So at the, is it like 100 decibels or?
So the alert for us, and these are instantaneous once again, right? So time weighted is when it's an issue versus instantaneous. You know, I get the alerts more instantaneous and at 90 decibels is when I'm triggered.
Okay, got it, yeah, because I've been measuring the sound in the subway and it's at 95 and I think it's deafening us. But that's a good relative
It's
number.
not a 10-minute window of listening to that same noise. That's when you have a bigger exposure.
Okay, and so like in reference to the diesel generator from earlier, that's.
Any other questions from the committee? Yes.
You said that when one of these alerts goes off, somebody has to go down to the site. Is there not somebody on the site in real time who can course correct it?
Well, yeah, but if he's on the roof and the monitor on the ground's going off, he's gonna go downstairs, go see where the monitor is, walk the path between him and the monitor.
There's
look what
somebody on
triggered it.
site who's actually can.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But just to be more clear, because it sounds like I'm making that up. Our officers, our project managers in the office, which is right on Walker, get the alerts, they walk down, right? So they're the ones walking down, he's coming down from upstairs. It depends on who and what's happening. If it's on a Saturday, if it's on Saturday at 10 PM, no one's coming down because it's not me.
So just to clarify, could you spun this as like a good thing, but I think it was actually just a repeat of what we heard last month. With the HEPA filters, basically y'all are saying, no, you're not gonna provide those.
Right.
Right, there's not a need, based on the data and the science and all the measurements that we have in place right now, the community is not at risk, there's no basis for saying everyone needs to have a HEPA filter in their window. I think we actually caused a lot of alarm last time by, the sort of gesture we made to some of the residents in Chungpak, who were immediately adjacent to work that was happening right outside their windows, and it's summer months and they couldn't close the windows and they were getting concerned, and, we made a gesture and gave them some HEPA filters, but again, it was not something that was necessitated based on all the testing that we're doing, all the monitoring that we're doing, and I think that actually caused a lot of alarms, and it seemed to make everyone think, oh my gosh, now everyone needs a HEPA filter, and that's simply not the case. So we're gonna continue to monitor the air quality, and we can of course course correct if at any point what we're monitoring indicates that there's, a health issue with.
Well, that's what I was saying, like, my daughter's friends call me the 9/11 lady, so this is, right, this is something that's very like near and dear to me. If the agency wants to be a good friend and neighbor, despite whatever that is showing, if there are people in the immediate area saying that they need a HEPA filter, you're gonna get them a HEPA filter, because again, this is the same community. CB1, part of CB2, CB3, so that encompasses, all of Chinatown and Park Road, all of that area. This is a 9/11 community. And we were told by that same agency, the EPA, that the air was safe to breathe before. So it's not personal to you.
And the city officially.
Right, yeah, but it's worse coming from the feds, right? We're told at the highest level, don't worry, go outside, breathe, you don't even need a mask. Wipe your counters with a wet rag, okay? This is literal stuff. And because of that, again, many of us are not well right now, and many of us are not here any longer. So if there are people who are telling you that they need a HEPA filter, and you want us to be friendly and a good neighbor as an agency, you'll get them HEPA filter.
But even then, at the time, the federal government subsidized the purchase of.
After, not immediately. It was after people started to show signs of maybe this isn't so safe, and then they said, okay, but maybe you need a HEPA filter, maybe you need a HEPA vacuum, maybe you shouldn't use a wet rag, put on some gloves, put on a mask, and even that wasn't enough, and it was too late in many instances, you know? So I'll get off my soapbox.
No, and again, I really don't want to make light of the community's concerns, and I'm not trying to brush anything off. It's not quite comparing apples to apples. 9/11, it was a very different kind of dismantling of, this is a systematic, controlled, progressive taking down of the building. It's not the same.
It's not a comparison of the environmental toxins. It's the thing that people are already compromised. Okay, so whatever else is going on, this is just going to exacerbate what's already going on with them. That's the concern.
And the difference is you are immediately adjacent. You're not across the street. You're not across the West Side Highway, Liberty Street or anything. You are there. And so it doesn't travel. You don't have the luxury of dissipation. It's right there. So I respectfully disagree with you. Much like where Mariam is, having lived through the city saying it's safe, don't worry, continue going on to business. And the government and the environmental halls of we know best telling us everything is fine. A HEPA filter for an immunocompromised community is not a big ask when it's already $1 billion project.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's just, I know what you're here to say. I understand for both of you, but it's also extremely disconcerting as a chair to know that here we are in September and the July data is not out. The August data is not out. So how is that actually timely? We had hoped for the same kind of timeliness that we can get off of 250 Water Street, which is not wait a month. It's access online to daily monitoring. You said we couldn't get daily, so what about weekly? Well, we need some time to collate data. All of that, we have been as flexible as we can be, but I find the delay of 60 days, basically, here we are in September, the last report that's published was June. That's not actually very comforting for the community.
I understand, and we will
Even if
work
there's
to
nothing there.
expedite this process moving forward. Again, it's because we go through many rigorous rounds of review of these reports, checking all the data, checking to make sure that we are clearly explaining, that we understand first everything that happened, that we're providing an explanation. So it just takes time, and there's a lot of different eyes on this and multiple agencies who are reviewing
That
it. But
context can come later, though. What she's talking about is transparency.
Correct.
without the context, I think these reports are going to look very alarming. If you're just getting data graphs and all you're seeing are spikes and you have no idea what caused it, what the team did to mitigate it, is it like, why was this happening? It's someone out there, potentially bumping it into in the street, has nothing to do with construction. I think it'd be really irresponsible of us to just send that data out there without being able to provide an explanation to the community.
You go to the doctor these days, you get the test results before you talk to the doctor.
Yeah,
People get the information and then they get the context. People are.
I also just am convinced.
We're gonna
that-
go to, online, and then we're gonna go to Susan Lee in the room. No.
She's first.
Sorry, who was next?
Alice.
Andrea.
Oh, we're gonna take Andrea too.
Okay, hi,
Alice, we're taking Andrea first. She had her hand first.
I couldn't hear you, Lucy, I'm sorry.
And someone's having.
Andrea first. We're gonna go to Andrea first, Alice, and then we'll come to you. Can you hear that okay?
Hi, so, I just find it just hard to believe that it takes 2 to 3 months to scrub your data. You know, if you are aiming for transparency, it would just be nice to have the data, just like Jared said, you go to a doctor, I provide my results immediately. I don't take 2 to 3 months, you know, to get them back their results. These people have been exposed already, you know, and it doesn't make sense. It takes, you know, 2 to 3 months on such a huge project and you have so many eyes on it. Shouldn't it be, you know, expedited? It's not fair. You know, you have like, you know, 50 kids next door who are growing. And, you know, does it take you 3 months to find explanation, you know, for something that bad that happens? It's not very comforting. It just sounds, you know, it doesn't look right. It doesn't sound right, especially in the context of, you know, this, you know, the proximity of 9/11, you know, being told that it was fine and it's not fine 20 years later. You know, these kids in 20 years, what's going to happen to them? Who do they have? What kind of recourse do they have? You know? And also, like, you know, he mentioned that, you know, the air quality was only bad inside the job site, not outside. I mean, do your workers know that, you know, they're being exposed to like harmful levels of you know, dust? I mean, do they have the proper precautions?
Thank you, Andrea. So again, we will review our internal process. We will work to expedite these reports and try to get them out quicker as quickly as we possibly can. And again, just to reiterate some of what Rich was talking about, when the alerts are going off, when an alert goes off on one monitor in one location on the site, it's not indicating that the air quality, you know, continuously throughout the entire job site is at a dangerous level. In fact, the alert levels are going off far below a level at which they actually become a health concern. These are the warning limits that are indicating to Rich's team something is increasing. Let's go out there and mitigate that before it becomes a problem. So I just want to make that sure that point is really clear to everyone.
Okay. Board member Alice Black, online.
Okay. Hi, thanks very much. Sorry. I can't seem to get the camera working. Okay. A couple of questions. Can you just tell us when the demolition will be complete for the each tower?
Right now,
I'm sure you had it up there, but I just don't remember.
The north tower is slated for January 24 and the south tower is for fall of 24.
Fall of 2020 what?
4.
Okay, so next year. Okay, just get that done. So intrinsically tied to the demolition milestones that you're noting here are those that, of course, concern construction. And it's important, it's critical to share with the public the important milestones that we've recently learned concerning the project's new construction schedule. And we've learned recently that, and I don't know if this board or the community in large knows, that the process that we embarked on probably over 5 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken, to find a design build team has been dropped. And we learned that the 3 prospective teams had dropped out, as I understood it, and a lack of design build experience was one of the reasons, and imperfections in contracting terms and the like. And so we're now being asked to start the entire process anew as concerns the identification of a design build team with the issuance of a new request for qualifications and a request for proposal. So it's sort of starting over, and we're grateful that we will have more of a say in the design of this new building. But I am questioning here tonight the logic behind continuing the demolition process when the DDC has reissued this new request for proposal. And I guess specifically, I'd like to ask, how can the community be assured that the site is in fact one that is viable for this jail program, given the fact that no team was found during the past 5 years to build a jail here? And why is it that we cannot pause the demolition on the South Tower, which has not begun, while the RFP is out? And I guess mostly it's of obvious concern, I think, to us all, that what it sounds like is that you will be a hole in 2024, 2 holes, and yet we will not have any assurance that there's any kind of construction happening. As we've waited all these years and we didn't find a team yet. So I just think that has to be addressed. I don't know if it's tonight, but I do kind of think that's a very much a very critical part of this, Lauren, and I know we've talked about it, but the question really before us is, how is this demolition going to not just leave us with 2 holes, one of which is a landmark eligible building? And what is the gain here for the community in terms of impacts on our quality of life in Chinatown and the Civic Center? I just don't understand why we're not pausing this demolition. And I understand that the answer that was given to me was the mayor wants to continue with the demolition. I guess I don't quite understand that. And I think we'd all like some illumination as to why that's the case when you're issuing a new RFP and the plans he has deemed flawed.
Thanks, Alice. So, I think there are a number of points in there. I do want to speak to in terms of timing. And Beverly, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in our sort of current projections, what we're looking at, it's not that by the time we finish dismantle, there's going to be, you know, years and years before the new contract is beginning. I think we're only looking at a potential gap of a couple of months. I can go back and we can confirm that, and of course we'll know as we get closer to issuing the NTP for the design builder for the new facility. Rich's team, no, she's coming in? Okay. We will ensure that we are not leaving the site in an unsafe condition. The site will be secured, backfilled, so it's not going to be that there's, you know, a gaping hole in the ground that someone's going to come in and, you know, trip and fall into. The site will be secured. There will be maintenance of the site in between, you know, if there's any gap between those contracts. So this is not something that we're just, you know, that we're being flippant about.
Can I ask you, this could be years though. I mean, so you would be, who would be maintaining the site for the many, we've waited 5 years and the process was stopped, right? We waited 5 years and right now we're starting over. And we're told we can look at the design guidelines again and all the different parts of the design. This will take years potentially. So I just am confused as to what will maintain that site, 2 open pits that are, as you've now claimed, done next year. How is that going to get done?
Well, again, as these will not be left as gaping open pits. The site will be backfilled. So it's not, we're not leaving open holes in the ground. And this will be maintained either by, you know, DDC or we'll contract an agency to do so.
Okay, and I apologize. I said I was gonna go to Susan, but we have the councilman on the line. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Alice, thank you for bringing up that point. That's what I really wanted to ask, especially since we know how hard it is for the city to find a design build partner. Why are we rushing to demolish both buildings, especially when the southern building is fully intact and hasn't had a history of having any structural problems? Why are we speeding up this process if we don't know what's going to come next? Especially now when we know that this project probably won't be completed by 2027. You know, it feels like things are being rushed and there's a lack of transparency when it's coming to talking to the community about what's happening on site. And I think we really need to consider, you know, alternative plans, especially for the South Tower.
So, okay, thank you for your comments, Councilmember. It is DDC's mandate to design and construct these buildings. We have not been issued any directive to pause on the work. It's not within DDC's purview to decide to pause that work. So we are continuing unless we receive direction otherwise. Tammy?
Oh, so I want to follow up from Chris's point and Alice's point. So you said there won't be 2 gaping holes, it'd be a flat site. So you're leaving it at grade, correct? That is the final determination. When you walk away from the site, there will be an at grade equal to the sidewalk with just fencing around?
The current contract right now is written to be backfilled flush, and we've had conversations about leaving berms or changing it based on the speed of the next contractor coming on. So it depends on the speed of the next contractor coming on.
Okay. Based on the current information that we have from the city, knowing that they have to do a brand new RFP, and it is a process, we know that there is absolutely no chance in God's greener that would start in 24 when you guys are done. Maybe 25, possibly 26. So what should the community look for? You say flush, you say potentially a berm or other options. Who gets to decide what those options are? Who decides what's done with the site? What kind of archaeological stuff is being done below, to find out what's going on there? Is there any kind of, so that's one, that's two, and my third question is, my third question is, who is doing the surveying? Is that part of the demolition process or the next RFP about what the ground will hold?
So I'm not responsible for what the ground holds. That would be the builder of the new facility. In terms of how the site is left, it will be as directed by the DDC to Gramercy Group, whether they say stick with the base contract, leave it flush, or let's do a berm because the next person's right behind you and they're scheduled. I'm at their mercy. I do what I'm directed to by them.
Has Gramercy offered other opportunities if there is nothing other than a berm or flush?
I have not made any, I don't have any other options I have not thought of any other options to give them.
Tracy Brown's.
You have a Beverly on your team that would like to speak?
Let me get Susan first because she's been waiting for a while.
Sorry,
Thank you,
Susan.
thank you. Thank you, Lauren and Rich, for the updates. And Mariana, I just want to thank you for always bringing up the concerns of 9/11. This is an community. I have signed 3 affidavits stating that people live and work in the community. I lost an aunt not too long ago. So this is serious concern for the community. And I find it, Lauren, no offense, but you said we provided the HEPA filter to create more panic. And I think that panic is justifiable. And if the community, especially seniors living next door, are concerned, I think those should be rightly addressed. Going back to what Dr. G said about children, there is a class at Stuyvesant High School, students in their 30s, who have serious health issues. We can't predict what happens to those kids at the Head Start next door. So I beg you to please take the concerns of the community seriously. I think that for a multi-billion-dollar project, like the filters that they wanted, only $70. I mean, I'm sure you guys can get it at a wholesale price or whatever. I just think that it's not too much of an ask. My second concern is, Rich, you mentioned that the alarm went off during the Canadian wildfire.
That's correct.
Work did not stop.
That's correct.
That means that air quality was at a high, and you continue to do work, and you're adding on to the poor air quality.
That's not true.
How is that not true?
Because at that time, I don't want to hurt my workers either. Once there was air quality issues, we worked on the inside of the courthouse. We worked on the inside of the buildings, doing interior gut work and preparatory for the full demo. I did not have men on the roofs or in the streets for any lengths of time, other than anything absolutely necessary due to where the work ended before those fires started.
So what about the community, the air quality in the community?
I can't stop the wildfires.
No. With the work that you're doing add on
I
to.
did interior work during the
Okay.
wildfires. I didn't do work other than anything absolutely necessary that had to be finished to what they were doing on the site.
Thanks for the
They didn't
clarification.
stop all work, but they modified the work that they were doing, not.
Thanks for the clarification. And then my third question, and I'm sorry, Mariana, it's taking a long time, but you're doing work next to another site that will do work, which is a different community, which is 70 Mulberry. The residents in Baxter Street on both sides, Baxter and Mulberry, they're getting it from double rent. Like, I don't know what the communication is between this job site and the other job site, but there are a lot of seniors who do not speak English, who live in tenement buildings. Those are serious concerns. And I ask that you speak with other designs team. I don't know what, who your counterparts are. So talk about how to mitigate these inconveniences that can be troubling for those residents. So those are the three comments, questions that I have for you guys, and thank you for your, update. And again, thank you, Mariama, for always bringing up the concerns on 9/11. But that is,
Actually, the item that we have tonight is about the youth cohort. We're talking about the younger people. It's about the youth cohort that's been approved, for research and study.
thank you. Thank you.
So I just want the room to understand, I take the air quality very seriously. I'm not out there just letting dust fly everywhere and not caring. I'm doing everything possible with the latest technology, with the greatest resources we have to combat air quality. And I think we're doing a very good job, right? We've had a few exceedances in 3 months that, and I take it back, not exceedance to my alert level, right? That's not an exceedance of any concern to the neighborhood. It's just an exceedance to me to address something and reduce what we're doing. And we're on top of that daily, minute by minute, constantly. We have the latest technology when it comes to dust suppression. We have a completely enclosed scaffold system on the North Tower. It has dust curtains. We have water misting up on the floors. We are taking things down by crane as much as possible. We are doing everything in our power to do this as safely for the community as possible. We take it serious. Just like I don't want anyone in the community to be sick or injured, I don't want my own people to be sick or injured, the company's people. We care about everybody. Our whole thing is go home safe every day. That means we have to do the job right. And that's what we're following as many rules as we can. We're even going above and beyond the rules to make sure that we protect the community we work in. We're a part of the community right now, right? We're in the community, and that's how we behave. We're not cowboys. We are engineers. A lot of us that work here are engineers. We think about everything from how the brick's going to come down to how it's going to get in the truck to how it's going to drive through the neighborhood. How can we do it the best for everybody involved? And I just want everyone to know we are doing the best we can. And I'm open ears to other suggestions, other ideas, but we're doing everything we can to protect the community.
Hi, Susan. This is Sham Binza from BBC. I also work on 70 Mulberry Street, aside from BBJ, only 1 block away. So we keep residents and tenants by tenants and also community people and local small business informed. Currently we're in the final design process. Then we go to bid and construction started next year. But when the when the design team did a boarding, we post out flyers. We go door to door posting on Mulberry Street, Bayard Street, Mars Street. We post on the residential building. We give handout to small business. And for last 70 Mulberry design, we have over 150 people on Chinatown. Yeah, like a lot of us local residents. Yeah, we do engage. No, I'm not saying you guys aren't engaging. What I'm saying is I want agency partners to speak to each other to limit as much interruption as possible.
So it's one agency, so Shalman is, all part of the BBJ team, is also part of 70 Mulberry, so that coordination, we totally understand, that's a concern, but that is happening.
Community boards,
Yes.
so that's, one of my concerns is, I didn't know it was the same team. Yeah, all the liaison, so.
It's different community board, but still some of the same impacted people. That's why I mentioned before. Board 1, Board 2, Board 3. We're all affected by this.
But I do highly encourage you to have Board 3 advocate as well as Board 1.
Oh.
As you well know. I'm sure Lauren would love to hear from them as well.
You guys
We
are
have
more generous.
Board 3 meetings and we'd be happy to coordinate with them if they'd like to. have
You
a
guys
chat.
are more generous than what they letting public. So.
Okay, let's hear from Board Member Vera Sung. Oh, okay, Beverly from their team. I'm sorry. 1 second, Vera. You're next.
Is that for me?
Yes, Evelyn, if you'd like to speak, you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay, well, I just, I got in because you had mentioned that I might be able to help with the answer on this. So one of the, so people should just know I'm the program manager working with Lauren on the program management for the Department of Design and Construction. And so I've got we mentioned that we track the overlap or the gap between the construction projects, the dismantle projects and the new facility projects. And I just wanted to note that while we are planning for Manhattan to be the dismantle to be completed, substantial completion toward the end of 24. The final completion will be likely around toward the end of January of 25. And currently, the new facility project, the new facility design builder, whoever that is, we're anticipating that they'll be starting in that same first quarter of 25. So there's actually not, I mean, it's good that we're in process for taking the buildings down so that we can actually really get going as soon as is practical once we have a design builder on board. And I was just also thinking, you know, we are planning a number of design work or design engagements for the new facility design guidelines with the community. I believe, Lauren, sometime in October, those will be announced as soon as possible. And so, you know, maybe this, in terms of thinking about the future facility, that should be another a conversation that we can prepare for and lay things out, possibly tied in with this design guidelines conversation.
Great, thanks so much, Beverly. I appreciate you kind of verifying the information I was a little hesitantly sharing out. So thanks so much for chiming in.
You're welcome.
Board Member Vera Sung.
Hi. Thanks, Miriam. I have a question about the crane. Lauren, you mentioned that you're taking all these precautions, following all these rules and regulations, and we know and have experienced in this community, you know, a very severe crane accident where people have where a person was decapitated. So I am sure that they also followed all the regulations and followed all the rules and were superbly careful as well too. These things happen. I have very little faith in you know, in cranes and having accidents happen with respect to cranes. I am seriously concerned about that crane and where and how it is positioned over on Baxter Street. At first, the boom was positioned over Baxter in its resting position. I'd like to know from you, what is now the current resting position? And is it going to be off of Baxter Street?
So the North Tower crane, which is the one that is currently on the site, when it goes into its park position, i.e. we are no longer using it for the day or that weekend or the night or whatever time we're not using it, it is parked facing east, which is towards Baxter Street.
And it's raised high with the boom and over the street.
That's correct.
Okay, and why can it not be facing the other direction towards your project, where there's no people, where there's no people going into restaurants, where there's no residents?
So the most stable position for the crane when it's parked, according to the manufacturer's design, is in that position. When you put it in a different position, you are not following the manufacturer's parked position. You are going against the spec design of the machine.
And so with that overhanging like that, what assurances and what kind of assurances do you have that that will not fall over during inclement weather or that the boom will not drop?
So during inclement weather, the boom is lowered flat to the ground towards White Street. Down, it squeezes through and it bumps out at the entrance on Baxter Street to the job site on White Street. We've done it a few times since the crane has been here during periods of high winds.
And what do you consider high winds?
35.
Sorry?
35 miles an hour.
Okay, so it's only been twice that has happened? We've had weather.
Not that it's happened, that it was predicted to have, we don't wait till it hits 35. If we're not working for the weekend and there's predictions of high winds, we boom down and go through the procedure of laying the crane down.
Okay, and have you spoken to the manufacturer to see that there's a better resting position, or a better, not resting position, but a better way to face the boom away from where there are people and residents and restaurants? Have you asked them to see if there's a better way?
We have sent in requests to Liebherr, but nobody is quick to redesign their crane for usage You know, it's a very large company that builds cranes for the entire world. They don't set and make, you know, they'd have to that's the safest position for the crane. They're not quick to say, sure, spin it 180, it should be okay. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and it's not designed to sit that way.
Is there another area that you can put the crane so that however the manufacturer says that it should be, can be placed in a certain way, so again, that it is off the street? It's not, the
So
boom is
part
not
of
facing the street?
So part of the procedures that Lauren went through with you with regards to the checks and balances, the rules of the DOB, Cranes and Derricks unit, not in-house, our third-party crane engineer that was hired to design the crane for us, that is the found optimal location for us in order to not only have it in the safest position, but also to be able to perform its working duties, i.e. there are picks that need to occur at certain distances, at certain weights, and the crane needs to be located in a position that allows that to occur.
And so it cannot be put in where the White Street Plaza is?
It would not be able to make the picks over on the north end of the North Tower from that location.
And that is the case throughout the entire dismantling? It cannot be moved at certain points when you've finished dismantling certain things?
The crane will be removed from the site when we reach approximately the 4th floor.
And where will it be? And where will it be at that point? It's just completely off?
There will be a second crane brought to White Street in the next upcoming month or two. That'll be utilized for the overlap between the finishing of the North Tower and the dismantlement of the South Tower. There will be no need for the North Tower crane once I reach the 4th floor.
Okay, so
Give or take. Certain areas 4, certain areas 3, certain areas 1, but give or take.
so there's going to be one crane that will be removed, and there'll be a second crane. That's not going to be two cranes at the same time on that site, right?
There most likely is a position in time where there will be 2 cranes on site, yes.
Oh, so there will be. And do you know how long that would be? And when
The
that would be?
overlap, let's just say, I mean, I hate to say worst case because you never know what could change, but the standard, if I brought it in with, let's say, within 4 weeks, it comes in October, the job finishes in December. So you might have a 3-month overlap of 2 cranes.
3-month overlap with 2 cranes. One of the cranes will be always, unless it's inclement weather, will be hanging over Baxter Street. The other one will be where will it be hanging over?
It has 2 positions, well, a multitude of positions. It travels between the west end and the east end of White Street. When it is on the west, and we haven't finalized these, the crane hasn't come out yet, so these are still being developed. But right now, when it is on the west end of White Street, it will face easterly along White Street, stopping prior to Baxter in its one location. When it is on the east end of Baxter, it will, east end of White Street, it will rest over Baxter just as the North Tower crane.
Will there be 2 cranes resting over Baxter Street at any time?
There's a potential for that during those 3 months. Not the entirety, but a potential of it during.
And this will be during winter? During possible snowstorms and things?
Unlikely, because the overlap period ends in the end of December. So unlikely. We don't usually see snow until January, February, but once again, anything is possible.
Okay, so you understand that I find this truly disconcerting because we have a lot of people going in and out of that area, people that are going in and out of the criminal court building through the back area of Baxter. There are people accessing the park. It is concerning.
And there are businesses on Baxter that need to be able to get.
None of this it should not impede anyone's businesses. It doesn't lay down on the street of Baxter.
No, it's hanging over.
Correct. It doesn't impede anyone's mobility.
No, but it just hangs over people ominously. Yes.
Would you walk under it?
I do it every day.
Your person used to be in
I have another, Miriam, I have another question. Do you have the demolition permit yet for the South Tower?
I have approved plans. The permit is still pending, as we have not been handed the building over due to the still being occupied.
The what? I'm sorry, I missed that, sir.
The building is still occupied on a couple of the floors, so it has not been turned over to us. When it's still occupied, I can't have a demo permit at the same time.
Okay, I'm sorry, but who's occupying the South Tower at this point?
Department of Corrections, NYPD.
Okay. When will the Sallyport be done?
It is projected to be done, October, November.
And when do you have an estimation that people will be exiting the building?
As soon as Sallyport's done, so October, November.
So once the Sallyport is done, then the other tower is fully vacated.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And one other question, in terms of, I believe that there was some sort of environmental cleanup on the, like there are oil tanks on the subsurface that have to be removed. Are you doing that?
I am.
Okay, when will those be done?
Once the North Tower is completed and the South Tower crane is no longer on the site, and that area is available for excavation and removal of the tanks.
Okay, so there'll be excavation after both towers are down to remove the oil tanks.
That's correct.
All right, and the asbestos you mentioned isn't completely done. When will that be finished?
That is in the South Tower. That will be ongoing with the South Tower.
Okay, do you know when that'll be done?
Fall of 24.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Mariama.
Of course. We'll go to Dr. Ju again, and then to Alice Blake again, and then hopefully we can finish this item. I'm sorry, ma'am, were you waiting to speak?
Eleanor.
I apologize.
She should go before.
Please go now, before them, yes.
Okay. So my concern, you have, like, I talked to my community leader about translation, Chinese translation, we prefer the traditional Chinese translation. So the resident, there is any traffic arrangement, like the street is closed, so they could know what's happening. So I heard you said before, well, I appreciate your cooperation. My concern is the environmental health issue and the danger of the crane too. I live in Little Italy, right? Where I live, I can see from Broome Street and along the Central Market Street, which eventually lead to Baxter Street. I can see even so far away. Every day if I walk out of my apartment, the crane is right in front of my face. I wish I see the crane many weeks ago and continuously. It's like, so this is a crane, right? That's a small little Baxter Street, very tiny, narrow Baxter Street. On this side is a residential. Below is a little restaurant, and they have the outdoor dining with a shed, right? So all the time I see this crane, the first crane, not the second one. I saw the second one today, the yellow one, I know.
There's no yellow crane on the side.
I know, I'll show you photo.
Okay.
So the crane is like leaning over to this building, like on top. Okay, it's so dangerous. And sometimes it's not even parked properly at night time. Okay, I live around there, I know. Okay, and every day I can see it if I want to. Okay, but then the resident living here, imagine how uncomfortable and terrible to live in that apartment where every day you open the window, you see the crane right in front of your face. It's uncomfortable and terrible. And I complain too, and also it's dangerous for the restaurant, where the people eat or whatever. Okay, those restaurant businesses have to seriously too. Who's going to eat under this dangerous condition? And I reflect this to my community leaders. And I think they must have reflect their whatever to you guys. So maybe that's why you guys are doing the translation or whatever. But then the thing was the crane all the time. And also Sunday I go down to City Hall. Same thing. I hardly see so many times. I see it like this. And I talked to one time the construction worker around that area. And she was saying that, oh, that is from the crane company, right? Nothing to do with you guys, that's the manufacturer. They say that it takes them 4 hours to do something. So maybe for them, it's such inconvenient thing, they don't bother. I don't know. She's telling the truth. But I think I trust her. But how could a company, the Gramercy company, hire a contractor to be so irresponsible? When they, like you buy furniture for your apartment, you measure the footage before you put something. Same thing as a crane in that site. You have to make sure the crane fits. When they lay down, it fits, not to be like leaning like that. I have been checking a lot of cranes in the city ever since I did this crane. I never seen a crane like that. So I'm very concerned. And as you said, it's going to be, and today on my way down here, I also see a yellow crane. I don't know.
Actually, if you show me, I can, I'll let you know.
So what kind of crane is this?
That is an excavator.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Sorry. But
That's
then,
okay.
but then the other thing is today I see that crane, the original one.
The white
They
one.
were lowering something, like a big cap or something from the top.
Those, what you saw today, like, I was there today, those are the beam bands from the roof of the building.
Yeah, but I see the thing was like swaying like that.
So the crane moves it, it swings it out off the roof, and it lowers it to the west end of White Street, along the east end of White Street, east end of the building. When you look at a crane, you could get disorientated easily, because when a cloud moves, the crane swings the building, it is disorientating when you look at it. It takes time to get used to that movement. You see a crane swinging, because it moves slowly, they don't move fast. And that slow creep, like when you're on a train, and one train's moving alongside you, and it goes faster, you feel like you're going backwards, it's the same. It's not swinging, it's not swaying, it's rotating to the left and booming down.
Yeah, but still the factory is so tiny. And that is my most concern, because, you know, like people say, tragedy happened from falling cranes or whatever, you heard that, right? We don't want no tragedy until it's too late.
I understand that completely, I really do.
And also, if that Gramercy Design Company hiring such a irresponsible contractor, whatever it is, to do the crane, how could they, if they can't do that right, how could they go to build a?
So I am Gramercy Group, just so you know.
A nice
Okay,
meeting
nice
you,
to meet
but I. Thank
So, just so you understand the mechanisms, Bay Crane, we rent the cranes from them. They are not a subcontractor. The engineer is a third-party professional engineering firm that designs the cranes. He does most of them in the city. And we went through vigorous exercises of different locations, different configurations of crane to find the best, safest, strongest crane to put on the site in that location. So we did our due diligence. We did everything we can to pick the most feasible location for that crane.
Well, maybe you do your due diligence. I don't think they are doing their due diligence by having the crane in that kind of position.
I understand. I don't have a answer other than that is the engineered position for the crane. It is the safest position for the crane, and it follows the cranes and derricks rules within the city, and that's what I'm bound to.
Our chair, the one thing that you haven't addressed beyond was one of the things that has started with Eleanor's first comment and has been a longstanding request from the community. Dual language signage everywhere around the construction site, on the outside, for street closures and anything else in the community. There have been signs that are posted that are English only, and that doesn't help the community. We've asked for dual language. We understand that you post the notices from your office, the small ones, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the large signage.
Yes.
And we are still waiting for an answer on that.
I addressed that at the start of the presentation. So it was on the what we've heard slide, and I said, in addition to the notifications that the CCL already sends out, moving forward, those large street signs, we will provide with a translation. So sorry if that wasn't clear. I said
So
we will do that, yes.
Current signs that are out there be changed? You said moving forward, but there's signage everywhere now. Will there be updated
Like
signage?
traffic,
Which,
the large
I guess
road-
let's be clear, what signs
Yeah.
you're referring to.
Any of the road closure signs, anything around
I
that
don't
site
think
should be.
there's currently road closures.
There's no road closure signs now.
There was.
There was one. There isn't any, there's no road closure.
You have another one.
Sign was right on Street is that Walker Street, right across the street from the community liaison office.
So there's also, there has
So
been
that's
work
on
happening.
English only.
Okay, so there was a number of weeks ago, there was a road closure that was our team initiating that. And there was a sign posted only in English, and that's when it's.
That's what I.
Yes, what Eleanor brought this to attention, yes, and after that, we've spoken, and we've addressed this, and moving forward, if we're posting those road closure signs, they will be in a translation as well. There was, the following weekend, there was work happening on the Chung Pak building that was not part of the BBJ program. They also had a road closure. We have no control over that. It's for the Chung Pak building, and they posted street signs only in English. I can't do anything about the street signs that are posted for work happening on the Chung Pak building. That was not the BBJ program. So
Understood. There's also a lot happening to see your new signs.
well, the next time we have
Next
to.
time we close the road, I guess.
Road closure, which is,
I don't have any scheduled right now.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and there's a lot happening in the neighborhood. So if there's confusion, if you see something and you're wondering if it's us, please reach out to Nikita. We'll confirm if it's ours or not, and we'll
If
address
we
it.
miss one, we'll add one.
Okay, we got two more questions, and we're gonna finish this item.
As much as you want about it.
Dr. Chu, and then Alice is going to close it out for us.
I just had a question. Given that the current kind of detainees at Rikers is double the capacity that the borough-based jails can, accommodate, and it sounds like, you're kind of banding a lot of the, the principles, that were set in 2019. Is there a possibility that you're going to double the capacity of each of the borough-based jails?
So I will defer to Q from Mokje or someone from the city to speak to policy questions.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Q Amiri with Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice. I'm the Executive Director of Capital Projects. We're not doubling the capacity. The original capacity was 800, I think 886. We only finalized the Brooklyn facility capacity that went to 1040, and the other facilities right now are being reassessed to make sure that we're working with realistic projections and a facility that's operable and manageable in the future for our partner agency, Department of Corrections too. So the other short answer is the other three facilities between Bronx and Queens and Manhattan, they haven't been finalized yet, and those discussions are happening.
So what about this site then? I mean, from what I read from before, was like, under 900. So now you're talking about over 1,000. Are we gonna go over that? It's a lot, right? To put in these kind of dense urban centers. To go from 800 to 1,000, you're like increasing it by like 25%.
So it's a very complicated formula. The projections of the overall criminal justice system has a very complicated formula here with that connects to a whole bunch of other programs with reentry, recidivism, different approaches to sort of tackle crime and prevent crime in different ways and prevent folks from getting caught in the system and being there for too long, case processing with the court houses. So it's very hard to single out one piece of it. But just specifically to the BBJ facilities, we have approval for a little over, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a little over 1,100, just below 1,200 beds is what was approved for the very, very max of each facility. So we're certainly staying below that and within the approved envelope. It's just a matter of having realistic projections of what actually is needed in the future, so we're prepared for that and we're not working with unworkable or unrealistic numbers.
And given that like the cost of inflation has been 10%, I know my costs, have increased by 30% since 2019. I mean, is it financially feasible to build something with like the projected budget from 2019 to house to adequately, house these detainees in a humane fashion? you know, at this site and at the other borough-based, at the other borough-based sites, you know? You know,
Yeah,
and if there aren't, are there wraparound services for people, you know, for reentry, you know, given that, you know, they just announced that they're gonna do, you know, 5% cuts, you know, for 3 times over the next year. Like, how realistic are these ideas?
realistic in terms of the finance part of it, the budget, or I'm sorry.
Everything, the execution. You know, I mean, I agree, you know, it's a terrible place to be, you know, that you don't have, you know, Rikers is a terrible place to be, you know, but, you know, you got, I don't know how to, I don't know how you're coming up with these numbers and.
Q,
Yeah, so,
anyways.
yeah, go ahead.
can we ask that you come back to the committee to discuss this specifically only?
Absolutely, yeah. I think this is a much deeper rooted question. I'm happy to come back with more scientific answers here.
Okay.
Q, we'd be happy to host you either October, November, or December to come back. We're not talking about having it be very delayed. We're talking about having it be fairly soon, specifically because obviously we're in the process of budget requests for year 25, which
Yeah.
that could be impacted. And also with the updated news of the closing of Mount Sinai on 16th Street on the west side, because they don't have enough need for their mental health inpatient facilities, which we're really confused as to how that's possible, considering what the city is telling us. So we would love you to come back and have a full-throated discussion with the community so the community can understand exactly what's going on, because getting it through the media is not very helpful.
Absolutely. I think that it will be helpful to have this as a separate agenda item. I can reassure you that October for us. I need to coordinate with a bunch of other unit programs at my office and DOC and DVC folks. So give us a little time. I think November or December will be more workable, if you don't mind. But absolutely back with the team and have a standalone presentation on this very specific topic.
Thank you.
All right, now let's take a
Okay, 2 questions. One, I'm not sure to whom. Could you confirm whether the Landmarks Preservation Commission and the State Historic Preservation Office have reviewed any of the demolition plans for the South Tower, which is of course part of the criminal courthouse, a state historic listed building?
Email correspondence on this. Forgive me if it's a little foggy at the moment, but I will go back and check. But I believe this, you know, this is not fall under SHPO's purview. Let me go back and check. I know we've had some emails and have this written more eloquently.
Right. It remains unclear to me, Lauren. So I really appreciate a confirmation that neither commission or organization has looked at it, or they have. And if they indeed have at any time in all these years, if we could share with the community, or if we have to foil for it, let us know for the comments that were part of that review.
I was not reviewing the demo plans. It does not fall under their purview. It's not, but I will, again, let me go back and check what we have already in writing, and I'll confirm with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one other question, Mariam, and thanks very much. I guess this would be to Beverly, if she's still here. Yeah, Beverly Pryor, thanks. You know, who knows all about this. So can you explain how you will believe that you'll be in contract in time to, as you say, to take advantage of substantial completion or final completion, whether that's 2024 or now you're saying final is 2025, when we're being told that the community will now have an opportunity to create an oversight committee of some new type, new RFP, work on design guidelines, have exchanges on design, and an evaluation of the construction team, when 5 years went by and that didn't happen. And so it's very confusing to me how that's going to happen in a year or two. And I guess, you know, maybe that's something you can just lay out, you know, as a summary, or maybe you can give us some sort of really understanding of how it hasn't happened, how it's supposed to magically happen now.
I
Oh,
don't
that-
hear you.
We see you talking, but we can't.
I
hear
was,
you.
I was just saying it won't be magic. It'll be.
Well, it would have to
Oh.
be, I think, given this time frame.
Well, we are, there was issued an RFQ for the new Manhattan facility on September 13th. There's a public pre-submittal conference to the industry, but anybody can attend it on September 27th. And that really kicks off a process. The interested builders and designers will be putting statements of qualification together and submitting them around mid-December. And in about a month or so later, we'll have a short list of proposers that will then have a request for proposal provided to them. And that process takes about 6 months. And then there's an evaluation process there and a process of a public hearing, and all of these different things add up to first quarter of 2025 for the kicking off the new facility, notice to proceed to the new facility design builder.
I guess the question then is, how come it didn't happen this way for over the last 5 years?
Well, I think that's the process, as we talked about with electeds just yesterday, I believe. There were some fits and starts in getting going on this and developing a request for qualifications and a request for proposal that were consistent with the whole design builders kind of finding and balancing out a contract. So it's the first time the city has done a design build project for facilities of this size. So I think it has been a matter of getting the gears going. It's also been positive because we've come up with a selection process and implementation process that I think is a good mix. I mean, we consider it very successful that we have a design builder on board in Brooklyn, and we're following that same model.
Right, well, as we well know, Brooklyn's not Manhattan, obviously. Anyway, I hear you. I appreciate the sort of explanation here. I guess I'll close out with just this, that I would really like to ask, and this is to, I guess, all of you, that we have asked continually as a community to, why is the mayor going forward with the demolition when he has deemed the plans flawed? And we get sort of the answer, well, demolition has to continue because it would be unsafe not to continue, or because he said so. I would ask that someone could provide to this community a fleshed out rationale why the city is going forward with the demolition when we have potentially years that we've already had ahead of us to define what this project is in answer to what Andrea was saying, and what this will look like, and if in fact it could even be done in the time and costs that are going to be commensurate with this project. So I think that would be a really helpful sort of statement from whoever can give it as to why we are going forward with the demolition at this point when we don't have anything in place. So anyway, I leave it at that. I thank you, and that's it.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. I mean, you're free to stick around.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have Case University here?
Yes.
Someone is really here for this.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Did you sign?
How, your presentation and the following up, I apologize, it's much shorter, it's complicated, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's practice. Yeah, I got you. Oh, yeah. I think I might go.
When you
sign in. Yeah, that's correct.
They're still there.
Thank you. Would you need a release?
Is that a Simon's?
You know what? Patrick the Gathering. It's like 30.
Okay.
BBJ people, but I ask you to please take a step out because Pace has been so patient. You've gone
It's just Sean.
Please.
That's-
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My wife is out of town on a girls' trip, so I would just be sitting in my apartment alone anyway.
Oh, keep your company, we're a good lot.
Like to be sitting.
That's great.
It could be worse, it's true. Hello,
Hi, well,
I'm Sean. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Public Affairs at PACE. I may have met some of you at the full board earlier this year. I'm back again just to give you a brief kind of look at the upcoming renovation work we're going to be doing on our campus.
Will it be cranes?
Sadly. No. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm also joined by my colleague Wayne from PACE, who's our Director of Campus Planning and Facilities, and Varia, our contracted project manager for the DBI, the project managing firm.
And,
Get out, nerds! Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a card game.
I thought it was Simon.
No, nothing.
so if you use the make the presentation button, the plus and minus larger, it will make the screen share larger for you.
Oh,
There you go.
Sweet. Yes.
There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna go briefly over the project, the timeline of the project, the important stuff that you guys care about, what is gonna be the sort of nearby impacts and the timing, and yeah, that's it. So this is a part of our master plan downtown work that we've been doing for the past number of years. 15 Beekman is our new dorm and building that just opened up. We're very excited about. We're gonna have an official ribbon cutting in the middle of October that I will make sure you are all invited to and welcome to. There should be some food, so that's a draw, if nothing else. This is our One Pace Plaza East section. So One Pace Plaza West, which you can see in white here at the top. That was done a few years ago. That's the part that faces City Hall in that front area. And then this is our tower and One Pace Plaza East. Now, what's going to be important about this, why we have this slide here, is because none of the exterior is a part of this renovation. All of the work is being done internally. So as opposed to 15 Beekman, where we had a building there was demolished, a whole new building went up. The community impacts are going to be much more limited with this project because all the work is being done in the interior of the building and not the exterior of the building. To give you a sense of place where this is in the community. So this whole building is our One Pace Plaza. To the north, you can see the Brooklyn Bridge. Just across on the west there, we have City Hall, Gold Street on the east, Spruce Street on the south. So this is the entirety of the building. And then the part in orange or yellow is the section that is going to be renovated. And again, all of that work is happening inside of the building. This is the overall project schedule. Right now, we are entering the end of the design phase. So this is the major component of this internal work, is this is going to be the home of our new Sands College of Performing Arts. You may have heard that we spun off our Performing Arts School from the Dyson College of Arts and Sciences into its own standalone program. We are very proud. Playbill just released their top 10 schools that have alumni on Broadway. We were featured on that list. We're very proud of our Performing Arts School, and we think spinning it off into its own college with its own dean and its own program is only going to allow that to grow more. And part of that investment is this very large investment in new performing spaces, rehearsal spaces, studio spaces, and obviously more classrooms and space for staff and faculty as well. So that's why we have this really long design phase, because we have a large theater. Forgive me, I don't actually know, I don't remember what the name of our old theater was, where we hosted like the debates.
We were there.
Yeah, exactly.
We've used it.
Yeah, exactly. We've hosted a lot of things there. So that's going to be the main auditorium space that we build. That's going to be about 450. And then we have some smaller spaces that will go down as well. So that's the reason for the long design phase. We have a lot of different kinds of spaces that we've been working to create. We're entering into the early work and internal demolition. And again, that's not like us being on the outside, like with mallets or however they do that. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a very, handsy on person. But we're gonna be inside, ripping up the carpet and taking out the furniture and doing all that kind of stuff internally, so there won't be much community impact as far as that concerned. Then we've got this nice long 2 years of construction in which we're gonna be inside building and clanging and doing all that stuff to get all these new performing arts spaces ready. That we will be more than happy to welcome you all to when they're open. And then we should be wrapped in time for our fall semester in 3 years' time.
You know that we're gonna ask, and I'm sure while you're talking about logistics and everything.
Yeah.
The biggest noise complaints that we get, and Mariama can feel this better than probably anybody, construction debris, garbage.
Absolutely.
What time are they coming? What side of the building? If you're telling me it's on the far side, away from all the residences, that's lovely.
Yeah.
When you were doing the demo of that first building, it woke me up every single morning.
Yeah.
And 7 AM is way too early. I'm already mad about that.
Sure.
But yeah, I lived across the street when you were doing the original demolition of the interior of that, the building, or,
You mean like south of Spruce, like over here on Spruce?
I was at 8 Spruce Street, yes.
Yeah, over here. Okay, gotcha.
It
Yeah,
was
so-
way too loud.
So to that point, we'll get to some of that and we can address things as we go.
My window.
So this is going to be the line, I don't know how well you can see the mouse that I'm looking at. Yes, there's not a great way to do it. So this is the sort of construction fence that we are going to be putting up. This goes along the wall that Pace currently property has. We have our fence there, so there's nothing has changed there. We have Drumgoole Plaza here, that's going to remain unaffected. Coming around the south, this is going to close off the west side of the sidewalk. So we've worked with the Department of Transportation to erect plastic jersey barriers to create a pedestrian walkway around here. So that will just require the loss of the on-street metered parking along this street. I think it's about 6 spots total along 12th Street.
It's not taking up It's HPD anyway.
Yeah.
And black tires. Saturday and Sunday is a good day to be on call.
Yeah, because it's across the street from the HPD's headquarters. So
Right.
all there. And then coming along, and this will be the sidewalk and a little bit into the vehicular lane on Spruce Street. So the major change here will be the removal of on-street parking on the south side of Spruce to allow for the continuation of that single lane of traffic along Spruce.
Is that for 3 years?
I'll ask Wayne and Gloria about the timeline.
Let's
I'm not
find
sure.
out.
Yeah, they'll climb in before we're done.
Okay.
Isn't that hospital parking? That's not public parking.
Well,
I think it is public.
Some of it's public, especially when,
Yeah.
when schools close, you'll see the signs that say no parking between 8 and 4, except when there's no school in session and stuff like that on Spruce Street.
Yeah.
A lot of it's taken up by City Bike now though, too.
Well, that's on the north side of the street, so we'll address that as well. But we are in direct contact with the hospital about these mitigation plans. So we've reached out proactively to them as well to make sure that they were briefed on this, so that they can adjust, or again, maybe we can adjust. We want, we're coming to you all first so that we can have these conversations. We don't want to have these conversations after we've started, and then you all are like, well, this isn't working. Like, great, let's come out ahead of time and have these conversations with you now so we can take this feedback back and come back to you all with more information. I think that's it here. Oh, then the City Bike. So there are 2 racks on Spruce Street along the north side. One further up along here, closer to Park Row, that will remain there. The City Bike stand further east toward Gold Street will be out for the duration of the project. So we've coordinated all this with Lyft and the Department of Transportation to make sure that that's all seamless.
So this is, that's quartered off here.
Yeah.
That is parking. That's not part of the street.
So this, the red line is the parking.
Okay.
So that is what is going to be converted into the throughway. Because right now the throughway would be here. That's just a little close for comfort to the fence. So instead, instead of having, as it is now, sidewalk, throughway,
The
parking.
curb is gonna become a street.
No, sorry, yes, the curb side.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's gonna become a street. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, here's my question. Here, and I'm framed, is a bay, right, a bay for the hospital. Where they always have a truck that doesn't fit inside the bay that comes out into Gold Street.
Got it. And that's just for my folks here who are on the call who might not have been able to see that. That's the southeast corner of what we're looking at on this image.
Right. And there's a light there. And then there's the bay that's at the front of the hospital. And then across the street, there's a parking garage. So what happens already without this, particularly when those trucks are there, is that there's also ambulances parked in the street. Not at the curbside, in the street.
In the
Double
street.
and triple parked.
Yeah.
Police cars also.
Yeah.
So what, if any, like, traffic mitigation has been done to prevent that corner, Spruce and Gold, from becoming just like another one?
Yeah, we'll have to, that'll be a part of our conversations with the hospital that we
Okay.
have to make sure that they're aware that however fine-ish the situation may be now with them doing it, it will not be fine-ish with the new configuration.
There's another current additive to this, because of the parking garage collapse on Ann. The school buses that would normally be on Ann are now in the middle of Gold Street every afternoon and every morning.
Right, yes.
So that's gonna be another contributing factor. And,
How can you work with that?
right,
We would love, if, I don't know if you all have contact information, I can try cold calling them. I'm still a little fresh as I introduced myself, so I don't have my contacts built out of all the neighboring folks yet. So I would love having your expertise.
I'm
if you-
assuming those are from Spruce Street School.
no, those are there's like an autistic school.
Yeah.
District 75 school.
On Ann Street.
Ann and William, that right there by the post office?
Yeah.
No, Ann and William.
Ann and William. So by the other Pace location
Right,
is where
you're right.
it is. Across the street
From
from
the
the
other-
Pace that's on
The
William
other
Street.
face.
And it, yeah,
Right.
is a lower school.
Yeah, I'll, swing by there tomorrow and see if I can find somebody to give my business
Actually,
card.
it's on,
Okay.
it's on
Yeah.
Ann Street. There's one on Ann Street and then there's something going on in the building there. Don't they have something?
Oh.
Yeah, there's another school in the building there.
But there used to be 3 or 4 of these smaller school buses that just lined
Right.
Ann in the morning and then again in the afternoon, of course.
Right.
And now they all just have moved to Gold Street because of that garage collapse and the work that's being done
Because
on
Ann
Ann.
Street is closed.
Yeah.
So
It's closed.
And that's not gonna be something that you can, for a District 75 school, the requirements for loading and unloading are pretty tight because it can only be a certain distance from where they need to be, kids need to be chaperoned, et cetera, so that's.
Yeah, I would say there is the only one through lane now, so that's the situation that.
Right,
remains
that's the
still. So,
problem.
yeah, if they're doing it now, it's gonna be the same situation when they're doing it in the future. So it's certainly something that we can work with the Department of Transportation on, but, it's just gonna be a matter of, instead of double parking, they're just gonna be sitting in the middle of the only through lane.
What I'm trying
That
to.
can't really happen.
That-
There's a hospital there.
I hear you, but it happened, what I'm saying is, whatever would happen.
But understand,
happening now.
they're crossing now, potentially,
Yeah.
depending on where they're crossing, in between a car, right? Or at a corner and then walking up a little narrow way. What we're talking about on Gold Street now is no access to be able to cross to get directly to the bus if it's closed off.
Well, Gold Street's not gonna be closed off at all.
The sidewalk around the building? You're
Yeah.
creating a corral. And what
Right.
I'm saying
Pedestrian
is,
access, yeah.
right, so what I'm saying is, when a bus, here's my bus,
Right.
right? Here's my line of parked cars. If the bus pulls up next to a line of parked cars and the buses are queued, double parked
On Spruce Street.
on whatever street, on Gold, wherever it is, as you're escorting to the parked bus, you're going in the shortest method, which could be maybe in between the cars if there's space, or around the side and in. But there's no in-between opportunity.
Right.
Because you will have corralled it off.
And I think,
So you need to work with them because they would have to stage the buses to pull up, to have a dedicated drop off and pull up zone, because there's not enough space in order for them to load the buses.
absolutely, I'll reach out to Ed, Manhattan DOT.
I don't see, it
Oh,
may
no, I
have,
know, but he just may know who it is.
yeah, it's, yeah.
So like, they just may have a better idea of, yeah, that's a situation we're aware of, here's who you need to reach out to, because, I'm sure it's not the first that they've heard about it, so they might already know who they've reached out to in the past, however effective it
There's a
was.
school bus division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if EMS has to park in the middle of the street, or if they're able to actually pull into the hospital bay.
No, it's only got a space for two.
Yeah.
But usually there's like six on the street, 7 of them out there, and it's like, why?
And I don't know if the first precinct, if they have to park in the street, they usually have like a little SUV or two also in the middle of the street there. Maybe they don't have to do that, I don't know.
We'll make sure to
We'll
coordinate.
talk to them, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, I know the community of very folks over there, so I'm happy to
Okay.
reach out.
Okay, let me throw another monkey wrench in this.
Right.
The cars, that Beekman Street right there between Gold and Park Row is a major, major cross street for people coming off the FDR that want to go across town. So therefore,
Spruce, you said
yes,
Gold between-
so they come off the FDR, they go off Frankfurt, and then they make that right, that left, and then they make the right to go on Beekman.
And then a right
And then a right on Beekman, and they fly down the street. And try to make the light so that they can go across Broadway to get to the west side.
Mhm.
That's the shortest place for them to go, so, and then we have the fire truck there, the fire department there too. So we've got the hospital, the school, and the fire department there.
Yeah, I would say we're not reducing any traffic lanes on Gold.
No, it's,
I'm just
it's making it tighter.
For sure.
We have all that other stuff pending there.
You're only reducing pedestrian traffic on Gold.
Right.
Not even in that, we're just like modifying it, right? So instead of walking on the curb, on the sidewalk, you're walking in the street bed with the barrier.
Like
So that does affect the street.
There's the parking, because there's parking on Gold, yeah, so it's the on-street metered parking along the east side of Gold that is being turned into pedestrian space.
But now you understand, when we're talking about corral, it diminishes the opportunity for people in efforts to protect the pedestrians.
Remember we 2 days ago today.
Sorry,
carry on the mic.
Remember, if you're corralling the people in, to protect them, it limits the availability of people. It's not
To get
people
around.
crossing, but to get around and in and out. So that's one of the congestion issues of the block.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess for the next update, we can find out how long all of this is supposed to be. I mean, I understand your project is 3 years, but how long does the street does it correspond directly? The streets have to be closed for 3 years also, like we need more.
I think, and Wayne or Varia, can you speak to if this will be for the extent of the project timeline?
So we're talking about the traffic pattern, right? Correct?
We can't hear
Sorry,
you.
Wayne, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. We're talking about the change in the traffic situation or the parking situation along Gold and Spruce. Will that be changed until the fall of 2026? Or is that something that at a point is going to be lifted before then?
So this is definitely something we can work with the construction manager. That means bring the question back and we can define the exact timeline. Right now, we're looking at not impacting the traffic pattern because it's currently one way. It's still going to remain one way. So our understanding is unchanged, but we hear you. We will bring that question back and get back to you on the precise change.
Very narrow two-way street.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but you know, again, it's the lanes are remaining exactly the same. It's just the on-street parking that's being converted into pedestrian space.
Yes.
If you're removing one of the two city bike docks, is it possible to swap in one of the double capacity docks instead?
I would love that. I mean, I have my own bike that I bike down there every day from Hell's Kitchen, but I know that I would love for as much city bike capacity to be added as possible. So we're certainly happy to include that question to DOT and Lyft.
Yes.
Couple of questions. One, are you all anticipating an increase in student enrollment with the development of this school?
Yes.
And do you know by how much or how many?
Somebody does. Okay. I don't, but somebody does.
Do you mind telling us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask. Because I remember I asked at some point, because I can't remember what it was.
It's a lot. There's two, it's a lot already, because there's two dorms right there on Bateman Street.
Sure are.
Two. Big ones.
15 and 33.
They're investing in the neighborhood.
Will there be a change or an increase in the accessibility for the community for the new facility?
Yes. Well, we hope to increase. Yeah, we've already tried to make it as accessible as possible in the previous situation, but we think we're gonna be able to do much more so with our new facilities.
One, do you know what are the hours of construction planned?
7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And then, I guess, more so, will you let us know if you are going to go for after-hour variation?
100%.
Because to Amy's point, and to Tammy's point, the disposal of that stuff happens after hours. And so I understand the construction's inside, but then we have to deal with it while we're trying to sleep.
No, and again, I'm not an expert on this, but having for those who aren't aware, before PACE, I was chief of staff to City Council member Eric Botcher on the west side of Manhattan, a little bit further north. So I've been on the other side of this, of fielding constituent calls and talking to construction projects and saying, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing that? The 6 p.m. is when it stops, not when, well, time to wrap up for the day. Let's dispose of all the stuff that we worked on. I feel very strongly that these are the hours that we're allowed to work, and the work consists of wrapping up work.
And so that means that there's no garbage pickup at 5:30, 6:30 in the morning.
No, I take that back. Again, I'm not gonna be there, but we'll absolutely talk to our folks and get back.
If you're telling us 7 to 6, we don't love 7 a.m., but just darn be sure, we definitely don't want to hear Mimi calling you saying that the garbage truck's rolled in at 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
But
Yes.
in all seriousness, why that early? I mean, there was another project that we saw tonight that had an 8 o'clock in the evening, and why not shift everything back an hour?
Well, I think that upsets different people for different reasons. So then you have people saying, well, why the hell am I, having dinner and listening to, these sorts of things. So I totally hear you, and that's something that we can look at, but these are the hours that the city gives us. So this is not like us being like, hey, can we please do, the city says, hey, here are the hours that you're working. And we say, thank you so much.
Are you going to have noise monitoring?
I know we're having vibration monitoring. Let me check with the team about noise monitoring. I assume so, because especially we want to be particularly sensitive about being across the street from a hospital. So I think that is definitely a consideration that we have made. The proximity of the project to the hospital is a consideration that we have taken into account from the beginning.
A lot of residents.
There's 3,000 people that live at 8 Spruce Street. 8 Spruce is a residential.
Further west. Yeah.
8 Spruce.
No, right across the street on both sides.
8 Spruce.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I don't know. I'm still learning.
Go right here, and 90 Gold is right there.
You got it, if you move.
Two towers.
One of the earlier slides, you have 8 Spruce in it.
Great,
Just
thank you.
Do that. Oh, wait, there it is. See the little T, the upside down T?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's 8 Spruce. And so these curves kind of catch all of the sound.
Gotcha.
So just the way the building is built, all the sounds are gonna echo around in here, and it's gonna get really loud.
Yeah, and, again, I'm happy to go to the front desk, but if anyone knows the manager of that building or any of the.
You should definitely walk to the front desk.
And 90 Gold is shorter, but it's right across the street from there. Right there.
Right here.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then there's another building, 77 Fulton is right now.
77 Fulton is.
No, well, and what's
Like
the
a
main,
and gold.
We are talking about largely interior work.
Yeah.
Oh,
Southbridge.
Yeah. Then there's a lower building, there's a full building and a lower building.
Just a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, the final slide is the big one, you know, that's my cell number, that's my email. So.
When you're coming back.
I'm gonna be, I plan on being here
I
very.
promise you the next time you come,
We'll put you at the top.
you're going first.
And my wife will.
But we'll ask you whether or not your wife's home.
Yeah.
It's not.
My cats are staring at the door.
Yeah.
Will there be a number to call, provided for, the public to call and if there's any?
Absolutely, it's 917-574-4544. I pick up all times, as anyone can attest who has called me. Last night at a board meeting night, I left it to take a call. Yeah,
The board night.
it was great. I won.
Boys don't write paper on them.
Yeah. A stack of business cards. I left a stack of business cards with this number and email address at the full board. I'll leave some more tonight. Give them out to anyone who asks, give my number out to anyone who asks. You know, we want to be responsive. We want to be helpful. You know, as I think someone mentioned, this is an investment. We are a part of this community. We're proud to be part of this community. It's a benefit.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have two questions online?
Yeah, let me. Renee?
Yes, of course.
Mark? Mark, unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for opening the meeting up. Nice to meet you, Sean. Here, I have several questions. I live at 140 Nassau. We went through several years of hell with your construction across the street. You guys worked round the clock. You guys picked up garbage at the crack of dawn. You guys did not communicate at all with any of the members of the neighborhood. There's 145 Nassau, on at 140, Beekman Towers, the Beekman Hotel. We all had major issues with you. And here you are, going to do it again. You're aware of the size of the street as far as Spruce Street goes. It's a very narrow street. You say you're going to reduce the size of a significant portion of that street. You may not be able to get trucks down that street once you reduce the size of it because it is a narrow street. Have you looked into that?
Yeah.
So, Mark, I'll just say two things. I'll kind of go reverse chronological order. One, we're not reducing the size of the moving lane. We're just converting the parking lane into a moving lane. So it will remain the same condition it is today, just minus parking. And as far as the 15 Beekman goes, I know that caused you all a lot of heartache and headaches. I had coffee with John and Lewis from your board about a month ago. I was just talking with, forgive me, Maggie.
I think you're 145. You're talking about 145.
I'm sorry. Gotcha. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm still learning the different building names. But the point of that being, I can't speak to the errors of the past before I arrived. I can only speak to how things will be handled now that I'm here. And there's never been a time when someone has emailed me or called me that I haven't responded as quickly as I possibly can and has been as responsive as I possibly can. So, whatever may have happened with the previous projects, I certainly take ownership of and apologize for. But I can assure you, not only has the personnel of our community affairs changed, but as I highlighted at the beginning, this is a very different project because we're not doing a ground up new construction project. This is all interior renovation. So we're very hopeful that the community impact is going to be significantly less than it was for that project.
Sean, I'm very familiar with construction. I've been doing this and doing architecture and interior design for 40 years. I've also, seen, as I said, how you guys operated in the past, and I'm looking forward to a whole new outlook and a whole new approach to the community. But I am concerned about the kids at Spruce Street School. I'm concerned about my fellow residents at 8 Spruce Street, and I'm concerned about the hospital. I don't understand why you can't consider alternatives that will not impact all the folks on Spruce Street.
Sure, and your concerns are completely valid. Nothing I say here tonight is going to ameliorate those concerns, and nor should it. The behavior that we exhibit in the coming months and years as a neighbor is what I hope is going to address those concerns. I'll say that the plan for Spruce Street was done in cooperation with the Department of Transportation. That wasn't our plan. That was done by the city agencies. And sort of, as I said, with the operating hours, they tell us what we do and we say, thank you so much. So, I think maybe at the District Services Council, I had asked for an invite to that. I don't know if that came through to the CV1 staff. We can talk about that later. But I think certainly at maybe a District Services Council, when the Department of Transportation is present, we can ask them to explain why this was determined to be the best option for Spruce Street.
Do you know if DOT considered Frankfurt Street?
I can tell you right now, I don't know what they consider.
Okay, because that side of your building is more pedestrian and less vehicular, because a lot of it is already closed by 1PP, the back of 1PP.
But they're gonna have any traffic though.
Not that part.
And there's
Comes underneath. But other than that, I mean, it's much lighter traffic than Frankfurt going west and then making that left onto Gold, or going from Gold onto Frankfurt and making the right, because that's when you're going to 3 different highways. The intersection of the FDR Drive, the Brooklyn Bridge, the FDR Drive north and south, the Brooklyn Bridge, and local traffic is all there. So that part of Frankfurt, you forget about it. But the other part, adjacent to their building, we have, if the bus could fit, then that would be the biggest concern. I don't think that cars need to go that way. Cars don't need to turn onto.
So they turn on Gold. They can't go up Frankfurt there. That's not two-way. Once it gets to Gold, it goes straight. They have to make a left turn. They can't go,
Yes, but there's traffic going east on Frankfurt and that portion, coming from Park Road. But I'm saying it's a lot less traffic that's coming than what comes west from the other side of Frankfurt. People can can take Park Road and make a right and come down Frankfurt over there. But you don't have to, because you can also come down Spruce, right? And you can also come down other streets. So, not Big whatever, there's another street over there. Hilton, no. Whatever, there's other ways to come down.
you can't come down.
Right now. Versus this, where, right, and that's the one.
I'm happy to connect you with DOT.
Yeah.
Or text and figure that out. We had District Service Cabinet yesterday. It's been. Today's one day.
What day is today? Today's well, it's all my birthday.
Mom can say hi today and was reminded that it was her birthday. So, how are you doing? It's like, oh, thank you for calling me on my birthday. I was like, yes, that's what this is.
Exactly. So I think we did District Service Cabinet yesterday. So you'll be slated in for next month, no problem. Lucy and I'll put you on. But yeah, if we could hop on a call with DOT, or you hop on a call and report back to us, that'd be great.
Yeah, we don't need to.
If Mariama wants to hop on the call with DOT and you,
We're happy to do the work and provide you with the answers, to deal with the rationale that DOT came
Yeah.
up with as to why this was the best solution.
Okay.
Okay.
We have one more question and then we'll allow you to go feed your cats. Chet, you can unmute.
Hi, thank you. This is actually Claire Azzolini. Likewise, I'm a resident of 140 Nassau, and I want to underscore the remarks that Mark Donenfeld made. I do want to dispel any notion here that because the work is interior, that it's not disruptive and noisy. That was not the experience at 15 Beekman at all. And this went on 11 at night, 11:30, midnight. We filed complaints, nothing came of it. Sean, I realize you want to disclaim what's happened in the past and you have this great track record going forward, but frankly, you have continued to ignore the concerns that we've raised at about 15 Beekman, the lighting that's on blazing all night long, the placement of the furniture so that your students are looking into our residences, into our bedrooms night and day, and the noise from the students. When I emailed you, I got a response acknowledging my email. That is not a substantive response. So please don't tell me how you are willing to be a member of the community when you are not engaging. I haven't heard from you in more than a week. This is a simple fix that you're disregarding. So I want to warn everyone who's going to be impacted on Spruce Street, be careful what you get into here, because this is not a good neighbor. You have not been a good neighbor, and you have not been a responsive member of the community. And I'm sorry if you're new, but you have to take responsibility now for the institution that you are working for and start engaging with us.
Thank you for that.
Let me just say, with respect to traffic, try and get a cab on Beekman Street. I have neighbors who are seriously infirm, and you go out and you try and get a cab to go somewhere to the hospital. My husband has accompanied people trying to get them into cars. You cannot get through. As Mark said, these streets are impossibly narrow. We have trucks, we have fire trucks coming down the street, we have ambulances, and it's, hey, you know, we get told by the construction worker, we get laughed at by the construction workers when we complain. So I'm sorry, you're new. This is the job you took. Deal with it.
Oh, okay. She said deal with it, which I completely respect, and I apologize if I wasn't clear when I answered Mark. I meant to say, and I tried to say that I validated all of the concerns and the issues that have happened before I arrived. I in no way attempt to invalidate them or to pretend that they didn't exist or to not take responsibility for them because they predated my time. What I tried to relay to him is that no matter what words I say tonight, I don't expect those concerns to disappear. I expect those concerns to be addressed by our behavior moving forward. And you're absolutely right. I know I owe you an email, and Wayne, my colleague who's on here, and I have actually been discussing internally, and I apologize, that's a rule that was ingrained in me in my time in government is don't answer until you have an answer. So I know Wayne is working and actually being quite a bully with our contractor about making sure that we get timed curtains and it's not with lights, yeah, but curtains and screens. Timed curtains and screens for those spaces, as well as timed dimmers and off switches for those lights that I know have been an issue for the community and something that we're working to address. Definitely not something that we're fixing overnight. There's a pretty lengthy punch list. And again, I don't say that as an excuse, but just something that we are actively working to address. And I apologize. I do know that I owe you an update, and I'm sorry that that has been a poor reflection of me and of Pace University.
Okay, I gotta take Pat Moore and then I'm gonna let you go through the tags. We still have other items. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes.
I'm sorry. One thing I want to understand is, do the students understand that they're part of a community,
that there are people who have lived here for many years, way before they were even born, and that if they're going to be a part of our community, they need to act like good neighbors. So that I expect the school, as kids are in orientation, to explain to the children that this is a community, there are people living here, and that there are certain rules and regulations that they should be following. Is that done? Do they understand? I can't hear.
And two different answers for two different questions. That is something that we communicate. Whether or not that's something they understand, I can't speak to. I know everyone in this room and everyone in the meeting was, an incredibly thoughtful and compassionate 18-year-old. When they were that age, I will just speak for myself. I was not as thoughtful and compassionate about my fellow human beings when I was 18, 19, 20, as I am today, thankfully after a number of hours of therapy. But it is something that we do actively try to instill in our students, including making it a requirement for their academic process to do community service and to do required course hours outside of the classroom and outside of PACE. Where there's certainly some kids who are more jerks than others, absolutely. Oh, there's some adults that are.
So then, totally agree with you. So what's the consequences if there's an infraction? What happens to them? Do they know what consequences are?
It's certainly communicated to them. I can't speak to the details of that, but I'm happy to follow up with Jeff Barnett, our VP and Dean for Students, to find out exactly what the information that is communicated to them and the consequences are. And if you wouldn't mind either sharing your information with the board.
I'm the chair of this committee. I couldn't be there tonight. So you have my information. Yeah, please find out what consequences the children are told that they will be held accountable, for and to. And then please get back to us and let us know, because I think that they need to understand that one day they'll be adults living in a community, and that, anything that happens in the community that they live in, they'll be pretty pissed off if they're not living, they're paying to live in a community and they're not comfortable.
Absolutely. I've fully entered into my those darn kids stage of my life living on the block with a school. So I get it. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodwill work to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I in no way underestimate that. But, I don't ask to be judged based on tonight and the words that I've said, but on my partnership moving forward. I will be at every full board meeting of the board here to hear concerns and answer questions. I will be if they'll
Will
have
you be
me.
back next week?
Sure, at this meeting, absolutely.
And
How are you good?
I think that happens in a lot of communities too, like even with NYU students, I think because they're going to school in a bustling neighborhood, that they don't see it as residential. And so.
Yeah, having
Okay.
having
So I'll
represented.
let you go home. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Scott Payne, did I skip you? Were you here for a presentation?
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott?
You're unmuted. I see your hand.
Please take that.
You made it. I got a face panel, right, Jack?
Scott,
An elder millennial classic.
you're welcome to stay with us, but I just want to make sure that we didn't skip you. We finished all of the DVC items.
I think he's.
Okay, moving on from Scott, let me do the 9/11 update. So some of you may know that I'm a member of the World Trade Center Scientific Technical Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the STAC. And the STAC is charged with responding to the administrator of the World Trade Center Health Program, Dr. Howard, who is under NIOSH, the Center for Disease Control, when he calls us, convenes us to weigh in on whether or not a condition should be added to be a covered condition related to 9/11. In this case, whether or not we should create a youth cohort, and that was approved and and included in a budget last year by Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. So now we are in the process of developing this cohort. And there is an RFP or an RFI actually that has gone out. So let me just read you from my notes so that I don't miss anything. The World Trade Center Health Program has issued 2 requests for information, or RFIs, to solicit meaningful input from the community regarding the assembling of a youth research cohort. The program wants our ideas regarding outreach, recruitment, and ultimately, now let me be clear, youth is anybody born by, I think it's May 30th, 2002. So you could possibly be, already considering you youth. You were youth at the time of 9/11. There is one RFI with a response due by October 23rd and one due on October 31st. We know that the cohort is essential to tracking the health of people exposed to the World Trade Center disaster as children. We know that this is the best way to identify 9/11 related unmet health needs in this population. A short list of the STAC's recommendations regarding approach to assembling the cohort. The STAC endorsed the need for community input into the RFIs. It's important for the World Trade Center program to have the ability to integrate input from the public into its plans. It is important to engage the survivor cohort and to leverage innovative technologies to conduct outreach, recruitment, and retention. Community involvement and partnerships are key. Beyond the specific organizations and individuals who participated at the meeting, because the STAC is open to testimony, the program may identify potential partners from within the broader World Trade Center Health Program community of researchers, clinicians, and stakeholders. The STAC encourages the program to involve researchers who have conducted studies of World Trade Center in utero and childhood exposures. Community organizations in the New York City area, as well as national organizations and research programs involving young cohorts which may have experiences to share. The program may wish to consider a broad outreach campaign to raise public awareness of benefits available to survivors with covered conditions and plans for youth cohort study. The STAC believes it is important to use additional sources other than the Board of Education, given that the Board of Education records will include only those in the public school system and not residents in private schools and those who were too young to be in school at all. To ensure that all these groups are represented in the youth cohort, it will be critical to conduct multifaceted national outreach using methods tailored to the communication preferences of the targeted age groups, such as using social media campaigns. In addition, it will be important to identify and utilize existing networks, such as alumni associations, through which recruitment can be facilitated. To ensure representation of the cohort, a representative cohort, it will be important to consider cultural diversity by including community leaders of ethnically and racially diverse groups in outreach and recruitment efforts. Digital platforms can be leveraged, as happened during the COVID pandemic. The program should consider facilitating online opportunities for survivors to communicate with each other, as well as regular communication regarding study findings and activities. This could also be done by partnering with existing stakeholder organizations. The STAC believes that offering compensation for the time and effort of participating participants will be critical to recruitment and retention. The STAC discussed the possibility of offering medical screening or testing as an incentive for participation. While we recognize that such an offering might encourage some survivors to participate and offers the possibility of early detection and treatment of World Trade Center related conditions, it would be premature to make a recommendation without knowing the nature of the screening and careful evaluation of potential risks and benefits. The staff supports the inclusion of youth whose 9/11 exposure occurred in utero. Prior research has found evidence of lower birth weight and other adverse outcomes among children of women who lived near the World Trade Center during pregnancy, with a stronger effect among those with first trimester exposure. There is also evidence that environmental contaminants may pass from the mother to the fetus, and that maternal traumatic experiences during pregnancy may affect the fetus. Given the level of resources projected to be available for the youth cohort, this may be the only opportunity to investigate the impact of in utero exposures in a large and representative sample. So I shared all that because the community board will have an opportunity to weigh in by this deadline of October 31st. So in order to do that, I wanted to let everybody know this was happening so that we have an understanding, because we'll have to talk about it at our next quality of life meeting so that we can vote on it at the full board prior to the 31st in order to get our comments submitted in time.
That doesn't seem like a lot of time. I mean, is it
It was
because of the
extended.
budget? Was it?
It was extended, yes.
Is it because of the budget or because?
Well, the budget's approved. It went into, this money went into, there was a $1 billion bill last December, yeah, the omnibus. And that it was added in there.
This was in last year's budget.
Last year.
Okay.
Wasn't the money supposed to be added on to the military, but that's been held up?
I think that's gonna be part of this year's defense budget, if I understand correctly.
And that's being held up
Yeah.
by Tommy.
So,
That sounds wonderful. Oh, okay. Put that out there.
oh, thank you.
I think it sounds great.
Thank you. So, yeah, I just want everybody to be prepared. The congressman is actually having a webinar on this. He will be joined by Dr. Joan Reidman, who is the lead physician for the World Trade Center Health Program. She runs the environmental centers of excellence, which would be Bellevue, Mount Sinai, Elmhurst, Gouverneur. There's, I think, 6 of them in total. But she runs all the health programs in all of those facilities. She will be partnering with our Congressman, Dan Goldman, on the 28th. And everybody should have gotten a flyer in their email, but I believe it is from 3 to 3:45 p.m. online.
Is it on the 28th?
Yes. The 28th, I think it's a Thursday. If you're available in those hours, you can get some more insight into what this is about with the doctor there. I think Kimberly was on. Does she have anything? Is she still on? Does she have anything?
I don't know if Scott is. Scott?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. Did we skip you?
It's fine. I think I was having some technical difficulties, but I called in. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, but GDC is gone. They reported on everything. Is there anything else?
Oh, well, I'm with EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, the Water Street project.
Oh, I want to hear about that.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So currently we have 4 active sites. 3 of them primarily Con Edison electrical work. The first being at the intersection of Water and Whitehall. The second, Water between Broad and Quintus Slip. The third, Water between Quintus Slip and Hanover. And the 4th location, which is on Water between Wall and Pine. We're working on the reconstruction of the existing gas main at that location. And our estimated projected date of completion is July of 2025. Are there any questions or comments or concerns?
I have a question. I'm curious about what, at Water and Whitehall, there's what appears to be an old park that everything is put into. Is that?
You're saying an old park?
Yeah, was that like a little triangle of a park there on the White-ish side of water in the,
I think, are you talking about by the Marriott Hotel?
let me see, it's like by Chopped. It's at, here, let me poke at the screen for half a second and figure out what that address is.
Okay, no problem.
It just wants to talk about Beacon Street. My phone's not telling me.
Is it on the west side of the street?
I
I just wanted to, first, hi, it's Pat. Hi,
Hey,
Scott.
Pat, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Good, good.
I was half listening and half not. Sorry, everybody. But I think someone said something about the park that is by the ferry. Is that what someone was asking about? Because remember at licensing,
I think I know which park you're talking about, but that's outside of our limit.
right? At licensing, we talked about it. There's a vendor that's going to take it over. Francis and Mariama. Remember at licensing? That's the park I think they were talking about. The plaza, really. It's a plaza. Star
The
shaped.
plaza, okay, so, what is it called?
It's right in front of the ferry. I think that's what the person was talking about.
No, she said.
Well, I think that's outside of the limits. If
Yeah,
you
that's
have an
outside of
exact
your
location,
project.
like a certain corner.
It's outside of your project. It's
Yes, yeah, there's
it's
no
west
parks
of-
on, within our project.
right.
Eric, on the street.
Scott?
Yes, I'm here.
Mimi's asking about a fenced area,
Uh-huh,
Whitehall and water
okay.
appears to be part of your project.
Yeah, there's.
Yes, that's a fenced area where we're working inside, yes.
What is that when you're not there? Like when you leave? When all of this is done, that space?
Okay.
You mean after the construction is done, what happens inside that space?
Yeah, what is that space?
It's closed off.
When what was it before you got there and what will it be after?
So before we got there, I think it was just just an open space in front of the hotel. It really wasn't a park space for anyone. It was, I think it was just for vehicular traffic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's just like a lot of cars parked out in front of there, and then they move, back and forth a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of people walking by there with children, and then there's the trucks. So it's just sometimes it's consuming. I kind of stare out my window at that spot all the time and watch people just to be totally creepy about it. But
Right.
it just is kind of concerning because it's hard to see around there. That's all. Something to be aware of.
Okay. Well, I can speak to the flaggers and just make sure that they tighten up anything that needs to be secured up, or just to let them know again to be cognizant of people coming and going more if they're not already.
And any other questions for Scott? Okay, thank you, Scott. Sorry that I didn't realize you hadn't spoken yet, or that you were having.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Have a good night. Thank you.
No problem.
So,
Thank you. Good night.
Kimberly, did you have anything that you wanted to say about the cohort, the youth cohort? Is Kimberly Flynn still on?
Same comment. Go once.
Okay, in the meantime, while we're seeing if she wants, so did anybody come prepared tonight with any capital expense budget items you wanted to propose, new ones? Because if not, we can just defer the whole item to next month.
Please.
Does anybody have one that they want to offer now? Okay. Kimberly, anything? All right, I'm making a motion to adjourn.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, we're asking.
Are we done? Are we finished?